if you hear chewing noises, it's our new pup, young Bodacious. You can see him if you're watching this in the background. It's just a sweet, sweet child, except for at 6 in the morning. We're going to raise him as our own and gonna make him get a job. Anyway, this time on the Goodest cast, we got Braden Mase, underground legend. I'm just kidding. He is a legend. He Japan mountain driver. You know, he does events too, but I feel like we could have gone on for another like 2 hours, but his phone kept dying. I definitely want to do like a part 2 because there's just so much to unpack from somebody who literally moved to Japan and has lived there for years. He's established there. He's got a family there. Like, very interesting dude. Perceptive as shit, and I learned so much from this. I had no idea a lot of the ways things work, and you know, just kind of some of the driver, you know, opinions and stuff. So it's kind of cool. A good dude, you know. So enjoy this one.
What's been happening? How was your 2-day birthday bash?
My 2-day birthday bash. Man, that's pretty sweet, honestly.
Looks fucking awesome. Did Julian end up driving or not?
He did.
Fucking impressive.
Yeah, then he blew his turbo.
No comment.
That's how it goes.
Oh, that poor dude's got no luck.
No, definitely not. He tries though.
His like motivation like spikes and then goes like, oh fuck it. Cats are awesome.
Pretty much exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
looks sick, but
yeah, I pretty much people wanted to celebrate my birthday after the first day, so the second day I pretty much just let Julian drive my car. So I was sitting on the sidelines, just it's like, yeah,
hungover as shit. Like, oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit this one
That's
out.
me driving.
Like, I think every single picture or video I've seen has been like somebody else driving, because I let like 3 or 4 people drive my car. Like, all right.
Claim it, just fucking claim it.
Yeah. I keep getting tagged like sick chase. I'm like,
yeah, man.
I'm like, yeah, I really stepped it up.
That freaking 5-gear entry that you like posted, but what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, I mean, I do.
Fuck that. No, like I would tap out. I'd just be like, 5th, I'm out.
I mean, I do have short gearing, so
true.
It's
yeah,
not,
but still, it's 5th.
There was like this like thing going through my head, like, because the straightaway is long enough where you're like thinking about what you're doing. You know,
you're in 5th and you're like, I'm really doing this.
You're in 5th for like a while. You're like, okay. You're like, oh, okay. We're still going. All right. I mean, I did goof a bunch of them. Luckily, that track's pretty forgiving. So, I mean, you can kind of blow off, but you know,
I don't even know if there's any 5th gear circuits here.
It was a little wet, so we didn't want to, like, you know, you do have the possibility of, if you drop the rear hard enough, you could roll. So that was a little scary.
Fuck. That would have been epic, but more driving than me lately.
I mean, you could do it. It's a big track. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I've spoken to like Middo from the UK, and like a lot of the UK tracks are big speed entries, and he's like, dude, it's so slow. Everything just happens so slow. But when you go on a small track, everything is, because it's so shortened and tight and everything happens so fast, and you're just like, fuck. Whereas the faster stuff, the big sweeping shit, it's just la 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 la. Like, I don't know. I hate it. I just didn't like it in Australia. I found it so boring. Whereas the short stuff is just more intense.
For sure.
It's fun.
Julian and Jason have like a very fond like bond with that course, that like, because that's where drifting was in Northern California. Like that's where they did pro-am at. That's like where they all their comps and stuff was like on different corners of that track and stuff. So they know it like crazy. And so every, it's gotten pretty expensive to rent. So that's why he only does it like once or twice. This is the second time I've ever driven it, because they haven't had drifting on there for like 6 or 7 years, I think. The last time I was there, I was doing media. I wasn't even like, I think I still had a KA, and that's how I met Ryan Cotto. He like walked up to me, and I was like standing they have like a little like grill, like snack, like lunch counter thing at the track, and I'm like there with my backpack all ready to take pictures and shit. And he's like, "Oh, what's up, dude? You shooting today?" I'm like, "Yep." And I was like, all right, cool. And then he just like walked and got in his Z, like his FDZ, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
That's that guy.
I was like, "Oh, Ryan." I was like, "Oh, that was Ryan. What a nice dude." That was my first interaction with him. So yeah, I wanted to drive it ever since, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I have like power now, because it's pretty cool.
I have this like inner bug in me that really wants to go back to Australia and drive a big course again, and just see what it's like after driving short courses for so long, and then going back and driving, fourth gear, mainly third and fourth gear stuff. Yeah. Actually, what it's like, and whether you change back to it or you can keep that sort of like short track like a mentality or not.
I think you'd be surprised, because people get flack like, oh, second gear hero or whatever, and all that kind of like all that talk when you drive the short course stuff. It's not. Some of that short course stuff is gnarlier than the.
It's intense. Like everything happens so much faster, and like all of your, I don't know how you put it. I mean, braking zones. Braking zones are so crucial. Yeah, especially as soon as you put another car in front of yourself, you're like, okay, this shit can get real quick. Like,
I don't think that I would be able to just. I don't think I'd be able to jump in and do the mountain stuff that you can do. You know what I mean? Like that's.
Dude, no, but come on, like, how do I put it? Man, when I first moved here and I got a car, and then it was like, I'm going to go drifting, and it was like streeter, straight to the hills. And it was just like, oh, fuck's sakes. Like,
you're like, I just got this thing, man.
And like, like I'd been drifting for 5 years before I moved here. And it was like, I can do this shit. Like, no problem. And as soon as I got to the hills, it was like, start again. Like, this is totally different. And I mean, even like the first time I drove Mayhan before I moved to Japan.
The first time I drove Mayhan, I was like, I don't even know how to drift.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I guess I don't know how to drift. That sucks.
I don't know. Like, but then again, like, hills now for me it's the only driving to me. Yeah. Well, no, I don't know. Like, I love Bihoku. I love Mayhan, and I love like Suzuka Modeland is the most underrated little course, like stuck 5 seconds away from like Suzuka Twin. That place is the bomb, man. You get there with like 3 or 4 people, and you just jam. You just go nuts, and it's so much fun. And it's only like a little, just a third gear straight with the S turn and stuff in it, but it's so much fun. Like, I think 2 or 3 years ago, Casey, Keske, and I went there, I think like 3 or 4 weeks in a row. Like, we didn't all drive together every single week, but every week we were there and someone different was driving. And it was just awesome fun, because it's really, really simple course layout. It's got a little bit of forgivingness in it. Like, you can kind of go off and make some errors, but just for how simple it is, but how quality you can increase your driving, it's just epic. It's one of those places that's kind of like not known about here. It's kind of cool. Like, yeah, I don't know. That's where I want to. I have a new car, so I want to take it there.
What'd you get?
Probably.
You don't want to talk about it yet? Okay.
It's not shady, but it's a little bit shady.
Okay. All right.
No, I picked up a 15, so
Nice.
it's under terms and conditions, so we'll see how that pans out over the next couple of months. So,
Okay.
but yeah, it's shady. I feel shady about it. But yeah, like I want to take that there and have a bit of a shakedown with Casey when Casey gets back. And like Nishio is always down for Motorland. Like you send him a message because he's like 5 or 10 minutes away from there. He's like, I'll be there in 10 minutes. And he just rocks up with anything and you're like, time to drive.
Right.
And he's just like super down for it, eh? Like he's the best dude to go driving with there. But
he's definitely an interesting character.
he's awesome. He's hilarious. He's so he's so standoffish. And then as soon as you kind of like, if you meet him 2 or 3 times and you sort of have like a little bit of conversation with him, he then eventually sort of like opens up and he's like, oh yeah, like these guys are pretty chill. Like, it's kind of normal Japanese, I guess. Like, there's heaps of people like that.
I didn't get past that. I didn't get past it a couple times. I mean, I can't imagine being in like a foreign country and like going to a drift event and having like, you know, just a gang of people trying to talk to you and you don't speak the language. Like, that's got to be so wild, you know?
Try and translate for everyone.
Man.
No, like I hate to say it, but 2020 has been sick because there's been no foreigners coming to Japan.
No more foreigners.
Yeah. No, like it's been real interesting, hey, because I've noticed a huge difference with like going to Meihan and there not being like a select like 3 or 4 rental cars of like foreigners from overseas just rocking up and being like, yeah, Meihan. Like it got to a stage where it was bad, man. Like, you know, there's been heaps of stories about Ebisu being bad with foreigners, and it got to a point where like next on the list was Meihan and there was just heaps of foreigners. But I mean, it's good. It's the place to go. It's the place to see. But when you live here, you're just like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
They're going to come and talk to me at some point. It's going to be awkward.
Yeah.
It's true.
I went to I think it was Fall Matsuri, like 2016 at Ebisu, and I was like, I almost felt bad being there. Like I was like, man, because it's like it was just that was the year. I think it was the year right before they like banned all the
missiles,
completely like missiled out, like, you know, no, like literally like shock towers like pushed in cars and stuff. So it was like this is, you could just tell that there was like a couple Japanese people that were like just super diehard, but like you could tell that this was like not an event that a lot of Japanese people went to. And you're like, it would have
been good to go to the one that's just gone, like end of November, end of October. But then like I saw a couple of like videos and vlogs from it, and it was just like all the bass dudes from Yokosuka and stuff, and it was just like there's still people there, there's still foreigners there. Like,
yeah, I mean, when you have
it's real strange, man. I mean, fuck, I am a foreigner in Japan.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it's.
I have a question. So, like,
strange.
A lot of people. That being said, a lot of people go to Japan for drifting. Like, not there. It takes like a select person to stay there. Like, what was that like thought process like? Did you go once and you're like, this is it?
The funny thing is, like, okay, so 2011, I came to Japan for a month, and we did the Recum Meihan Day. That was my first time to Japan. And at that time, Streeter was like, come over for a month, suss it out. If you want a job, you can move over here and you can start working for me. And I was like, fuck yes, I'm going to go suss this shit out. It's going to be sick. Like, I'm going to move to Japan, like, at the end of the year, blah, 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 blah. Got there and was just like, no, this country's fucked up. Like, no way could I live there. And then 2013, I did the same thing, man. 2013, I came here for a month and I did it with 2 guys. And one of the guys, his parents were living in Tokyo, teaching at the American school in Japan. And I stayed with them for 2 weeks, like in their house, and kind of lived the norm of like not going to work, but, you know, like living in a house, going to the supermarket, you know, kind of a day-to-day schedule kind of thing. Got home after that trip and was just like, fuck that. I could not live in that country. Like, no fucking way would I ever move to Japan. 6 weeks later, I emailed Street. I was like, hey, man, remember in 2011 you like offered me a job? Any chance I can have a job? And he was like, yeah, dude, I need someone to come and pack for me like ASAP. And literally like 4 or 5 weeks after that, I was in Japan, like living.
Whoa.
I just did it, man. And it was like, well, I had like a couple of things that fell out in Australia where like I had no ties in Australia. So if it was a chance to do it, I was like, well, I've got to do it. Before I sort of make any more big commitments in Australia, like I was at a point where I wanted to move anyway. Like I was thinking about moving to Sydney or back to Adelaide or something or other from Queensland. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like I'm going to go to Japan for 6 months. I'll just go and see what it's like.
Yeah.
If I get through 6 months, I'll like hang around, because Australians can get a 1.5 year working holiday visa, which I don't think Americans can, but
no,
I think New Zealanders can get 1 year.
We're 3 months max. It's like 90 days. Or
holiday
something.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can get like an extended one, and it's supposed to be where you're not allowed to work full time and you're supposed to move around Japan, and it's like a holiday. But nobody does. Everyone gets the visa and just like goes to the snow for 6 months and then goes to somewhere else for 6 months and then fucks off home. Or, you know, like Casey did his and he was in Nara the whole time. And a lot of the guys that do end up living here or do spend the most time here, they do that like working holiday visa and then go on to another visa or get married or whatever. But so yeah,
I guess it makes it easier when that you have that 1.5 years where you're like, all right, it's been a 1.5 years. You're like I'm settled, you know.
Yeah, I mean, before I moved, I had a friend living here on that visa, and he moved here with like, I think it was like 25 or 30 grand, man. Like he was like, I'm gonna do this right. I'm gonna move there with a bunch of cash, and he spent it in the first like 9 months. It was just like gone because it was like he was just like, dude, he was gnarly. If he crashed a car, 2 days later building another car. Like he just put all into like driving in Japan and drinking in Japan. Like if he wasn't driving, he was drinking. It was just gnarly.
Sounds like my last trip there.
Yeah, but that's it, dude. Like honestly though, like his advice to me was don't move with money. Like move there and try and make it work on the salary as normal, and then that way you don't have a honeymoon phase. And that's what happens, man, is like a lot of people move here and they'll have a honeymoon phase of that working holiday visa, and it's like the best time in the world. You got no fucking insurance to cover, you got no payments, no like bills, and you go nuts. And like I did the same. Like after 6 months I bought a car. So I did 6 months, which ironically was through winter. And then as the end of the 6 months came up, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get a car and I'm going to do this drifting thing. Like I'd been out to Mayhan a couple of times and been out to the hills and stuff. So I was like, fuck it, get in a car. It's got to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that first year, dude, like when I look back at it, I think there was like a couple of months where I'd drive Mayhan twice in 1 week and hills once in the week. So like Wednesday Mayhan, Friday night hills, Sunday Mayhan. And I just like, I did that probably five times. Like, yeah, I'd have like a full crazy month of just driving. And then I'd have a month off. And then I'd have another month of just full driving. And then I just was like, fuck, hang on a second, I got no money. And it just was like, shit. And I was like, hang on a second, this is what like my friend warned me about. Like, fuck.
I feel like I had this conversation.
Yeah, deja vu. But you know, like it's exactly the same as anybody coming here on holiday. Like you come here and it's just fucking so many new things. And there's even like a meme about it where it's like a picture of like a foreigner in Japan with like all the colorful lights and like Akihabara and like 7-Eleven all in the background, and then underneath it's like this black and white like salaryman dude with like the train system and like computer like shit in the background. And it's like the two sides of living in Japan, and it's fucking true, man. Like it catches up real quick. So, but I'm still here.
Yeah. I guess probably working for Streeter, it's a little different. You're not like forced to do some kind of like.
Well, I'm not there anymore, man. I'm not there anymore.
Yeah.
I did 5 years with Streeter, and like it was awesome because it was so free. Like, if I wanted to go driving, I could just fuck off and go driving. Like at one stage, I was running a little like drift rental business with Hero, and I could do whatever I want. Like if I wanted to go driving, I could go driving. If my family came over or my like friends were over.
That dude's one of the most underrated drivers out there. He's insane.
He's a next level. Hey.
Yeah. He's one of those people where I like didn't know who he was until I went out there and saw him drive in person. I was like, oh, okay.
He means business, and like I don't know how to put it.
He doesn't care about any, like his social media is him like eating with his friends and shit. Like I love it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he's like not. And it's like, oh,
gets out of prison. Gets out of prison, and the first thing is just like food, eating all this good stuff, and then like, I'm gonna go drifting now.
Yeah, he's crazy.
He's awesome, man. Like, like when I first moved here, I worked with him at Streeter. Like he used to work with me, and so that was my sort of like ticket, I guess, into drifting. Like it was Jesse and Hero that sort of like was the door to getting into drifting in Japan, I guess.
Those are some good people to learn from. Oh man.
Yeah, but dude, like so many times I'd be like, Hero, can you teach me to drive? And he'd just be like, no. So, no, fuck off. Oh, I want to be good like you. And he's like, no, T28. No, man, like seriously, dude, like my first car here I bought from Hero, and I said to him, I was like, okay, I've got like $1 million yen, like 10 grand. I was like, I want like TD06, I want cams, I want head gasket, like 400 horsepower, like give it to me. And he was just like, literally was his reply. It's just like, And then he shows me this like bone stock 180. He's like, this is the best one. I'm like, no, that's gay. Like, why? And he's just like, learn to drive. But dude, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, man. Like the car I had in Australia before I moved here was like 350, 400 horsepower, like 2-liter Tomei freaking S14, like completely overbuilt, ridiculous car.
Yeah. And
set up so wrong. And then moving here, going to like a stock 180 with a diff and coilovers and a seat, and trying to drive with guys with 400 horsepower in the hills, it was epic, man. Like it was just so much fun. Like, and then eventually, like just like over 6 months, 12 months, like I think it was maybe like a year and a half, like Hero gave me knuckles and he's like, here you go. Like,
he's like, you've earned these.
Yeah.
You're like, thank you.
Finally, acknowledgement.
That's kind of how I started out. I kind of like, there was like some of the older dudes who were like, no, you don't get knuckles till you can link the course. But like, it sounds like you didn't get knuckles until you could like throw down hard. Like,
even then, like, oh man, I look back at my driving now, I'm just like, fuck, it's bad. And even now, I'm just like, I need to drive so much more, man.
We all
like,
do that.
Casey, man, like, oh man,
jeez, where did he come from? Where did he come from? He was like taking pictures and driving like his car with the NASR with like, it was just super loud, super short gearing, and he was like ripping pretty good. And then now that he's in this thing, you're like, what?
I want to tap out, man. Maybe I need to buy a camera and like start again. No, like, dude, like, and it's the same with Mez, man. Like Mez, his driving is so good now, and I reckon it's purely because they've watched drifting for so long. Those two guys have just watched drifting, and they've watched some of the best drivers. Like, I mean, 2011 Yokoi in the docks in Nagoya. Like you ask Mez about that, man, that was just an experience never to forget. Like,
yeah,
that was just something else.
Well,
and
you know where the like when you see that before you even start driving, you're like, oh, people can do this. You know, like the first time when I went to like Naoki came for Super D, and it was like, all right, cool, this guy rips. But like seeing him drive the car that I like tried to drive at Mahon, I was like, oh, like this is where I thought I was, and like this is where Naoki is. Like I was like, I thought I was like an 8 out of 10. I'm a 2 out of 10. You know.
Try move to Japan, man. You go from 8 to -2.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay.
You go out driving and they're all like, no, you're at the front. It's like, no, fuck that. I don't want to be at the front. Like, why would I want to be at the front? Like, leave me alone.
All you hear is like, you know, turbo just noises in your ear the whole time you're driving too. You're like, please don't hit me.
But that pressure, dude, that pressure of having someone push you. So I'm just like fucking, oh no, trying to get comfortable underneath my little setup.
That's cool, man. This isn't like a, you know, high production value baller like thing.
No, but I'm pretty impressed at your like dog cage in the background there. Like you got the setup, like your background scenery from each podcast is like growing. I think there was like one where there's no plants, and the next one's like, oh fuck, there's plants. Now there's a dog cage. Like, what's next, man? Come on.
I don't know. I'm just gonna keep like having more and more ridiculous shit in the background and see if people notice.
Yeah, just completely
have like one of those like wacky waving inflatable arm tube guys in the kitchen, like the
flick
whole
a
time
switch
just
halfway
trying to
through a
ignore it.
podcast, like
yeah. Yeah, I mean, what? Okay, so you said you were running like a drift rental thing. Like, what's it like? What's it like being a foreigner and being able to to start a business and actually like try and make money in Japan? Is it hard to do that? Or are you
do it legit? It is so hard, man. So fucking hard. I mean, like, Hero and I just did it sort of as like a side sort of thing for fun.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, 2010, 2011, like Shane used to do what was called K tours, which was like a rental sort of thing as well for like groups of people coming to Japan and had 2 or 3 cars which you could rent.
Yeah, and he would take you to like different tracks and stuff.
Yeah. It was like, the way he did it was fucking amazing, man. Yeah.
I was like, that looks interesting, and then I saw how much it was, and I was like, I'm poor.
Yeah,
it's worth it,
dude. And like essentially, like Hero and I just did the same thing, man. It was exactly the same. Like Shane was like, I don't have time to do this. Someone needs to do it. People are always asking me to keep doing it. So Hero and I were like, yeah, okay, like we'll do it. Like Hero had a car and I could speak to foreigners. So we're like, yeah, sweet. Like if someone hits us up, we'll do it. Like,
yeah,
we had heaps of people. Like freaking Be Strong, man. Be Strong drove for 2 days.
Really?
In one of our rentals. Yeah. He was probably one of our best freaking customers. Like no problems, 0. Like every customer we had, there was problems, but he was like legendary.
Brandon is like the chillest dude and
right?
just like, and like no ego, but like absolute ripper. Yeah.
Like the hardest thing with doing the rentals was like, how do you explain it? If you put someone on the edge of a cliff, like abseiling or something, because they are so worried about it, they've got like so much adrenaline, you can say anything. Like you can say like dick to them or like I fucked your mom or something, and it will not go through their head, man. Like it doesn't compute. And it's the same with doing the rentals, man. Like you'd give them the rundown of like you've got all day to go driving, like chill out, get used to the car, like blah blah blah. First lap, no, like limit bashing the whole thing, and it's like, just like, for fuck's sakes. I had a Hawaiian dude blow an engine in 4 laps. A friend of mine from Australia on his birthday rented a car and crashed first lap.
Oh.
So like, yeah, it was,
And it's like
it
it's your
was a
friend
catch-22.
too.
Yeah, I felt
Like,
real bad about charging him for a day. I was like, dude, I have to charge you, dude. Like, I gotta fix the car.
yeah.
But he was sweet about it. Like, he was like, no, I fucked up. It's all good.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was really fun. Like, it was really cool. But we stopped it mainly because Hero got arrested. But like, if I look at it now, I wouldn't do it again. It's for what you're doing. And I know there's another guy trying to do it, even though COVID's on. There's another guy trying to do it at the moment in Kansai as well. Like, there's a market for it, but you've just got to have like leeway. And ideally, people with money are your best customers.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, you can't put a value on the experience that you're going to get, and people don't like realize that. And then, as well as the fact is, no matter what you say to them, as soon as they get in a car, they're in Japan in a drift car on a track.
Yeah.
So they're just going to go bonkers. Like, it's them, it's
I mean, you feel the pressure to like do well.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I don't know. I went through that, but I was nice to the car that I drove. But the car that I drove like was it was not a nice car.
Naoki special.
It was rolled earlier in the day by
did you drive
Aaron
that
Wong.
car?
Yeah, I drove it the day that it got rolled. So like the windshield shattered, and they jacked the roof back up.
Shit? Yeah.
No, it was still in the car. The door wouldn't close. No seatbelt. They like handed me some football helmet to wear and shit. Like it was. It was like I was like, all right. I was like, I'm definitely gonna die in this. I only got to do like 2 or 3 laps, and then the session got shut down. But like, I don't know. It was pretty embarrassing. And then they're like, "Oh, Naoki wants to take you for a ride," and I was like, "Okay." And then I like get in that car. Again, no seatbelts and like the same shitty helmet, and we're going down the front straight, and there's like glass shards like coming off the windshield into my eyes.
In
and
the
I'm
same
like,
car.
Yeah. And I was like, and then just 90 on the wall, like tapping someone with the back of the car, and I'm like, dude, I couldn't even drive. Like the front end felt so loose, and like there was like almost no grip in the front tires, and that's when I realized I was like, okay, like you can never blame the car. You like can't you can't blame the car, and like I literally have to drive more than like 4 or 5 times a year. Like if I keep driving 4 or 5 times a year, I'm gonna be at 2 forever. So
it's it's just consistency. Like if how would like Casey going to Mahon every week for probably like 7 months, man. Like the whole of like spring, summer, autumn, leading up to Kansai All Stars, every weekend, Mahon. And there was weeks as well where he was like there 2-3 times a week.
Well, there's something to be said for him not totaling the car going that much. You know what I mean?
Man, like he had some stacks, man. Like he had some stacks, and like that car it was a shitbox to start with. Like the night we picked that car up from Naoki, like I went with him to pick that car up, dude, and it was like going down the highway, like fenders flapping on it. Like I think I had like one taillight sort of like doing this down the highway. Like it was bad, and he cleaned it up pretty good, but now it's like it's a Mahon car. Like and there's no point cleaning that car up, because as soon as you go back out again, it's just like
one of the dudes we were with last time rode with Semi Tanaka, and like he was saying like coming onto the front straight, it felt like the whole rear subframe was gonna fall out of the car like every time. And I was just like, I guess that's just the thing, man. Like these guys, like they don't give a fuck. Like, and it's
like
it's impressive.
Fuck yeah, man. Well, because they're like, oh, Mahon tomorrow. Car's fucked. I'm going anyway.
Yeah.
Like they just don't care, man. Like, like there was a time where like people have rocked up with no fuel, and they're like, shit, like I need fuel. It's like, but you drove past the fuel station to get to Mahon, and you've got in and you've paid your entry, and now you've realized you need fuel. Like,
yeah.
Like, okay, Yolta, like Splash.
Yeah.
The first time I met him at Mahon, he was changing a diff in the morning because he took
like
his car there. Yeah. He took his car there
with
an open diff.
Oh,
with an open diff. And then like I looked over, and because like this was probably in my first like 2 months of owning the 180, I looked over and like one of the guys that I'd been introduced to was helping him. I went over and helped, and like this was full Japan version, Yolta, like zero English time.
Yeah.
And like helped him out. And then like probably 2 years later, man, he's like, "Do you remember me?" And I was like, "No, what? Who are you?" And he's like, "Yeah, you helped me change a diff before Mayhan one day." And I was just like, "Oh,
I remember
that's
you now."
Cute. But like, dude, that's so normal. Like, I mean, I've done, I've driven to Mayhan with like blown turbos and done turbos at the track. Like,
man.
just the not shenanigans, but just the lack of commitment to doing it and then getting there and then just like hitting a switch of like, need to get this shit done now. Like,
yeah. I think as soon as you watch somebody like run it once, you're like, okay, we're here. It's time.
I mean, might have been the last time that Julian was here. Like Yota blew 2 boxes in the one day. Like he blew a box, he went and got another box and a clutch, I think, and I got the box out. And then by the time like, I think he got like half an hour driving again at the end of the day because we got the box back in, driving again, and then half an hour to drive with Julian. Just like, I don't know, you don't see that in Australia for one. I don't know about the States, but like, Australia's like, unless it's a 2 or 3 day event, no one's changing boxes in like in half an hour or 45 minutes to do it. Like it does not happen.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Even drive shafts, man. Like,
yeah. I mean, I think my team has got very good at swapping those. When they switched, Julian was running like the stock axle. I mean, we call them axles in America because we, like to call things weird shit.
Axles. Not as bad as the UK, dude. The UK, wings, fenders.
Yeah, I don't get that one.
Change my wings. What the fuck are you talking about? They used to buzz me out because like I'd do an email for Streeter every now and then, and it'd be like a dude from the UK being like, "I need new front wings." I'd be like,
"Front
what
wings?"
Is this dude talking about like
wings go on the back?
Yeah, right. You doing like time attack or some shit? Like what the fuck? Voltex sends Voltex link. No, man, I want Origin ones. Oh, they don't make them, mate. Like fuck. No, 55 mil ones. Oh,
Fenders.
Now I got you.
Got it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Julian went through. I think we went to this event in Canada, and I think Julian went through like 7 axles when we were there. Yeah, he was running those like, I think they was like one of the tire companies like stickiest tires at the time, and he was running like stock axles, and he would go in and like clutch kick and blow both of them at the same time. It was actually really impressive.
But to be honest with you, like I'd rather blow on like an axle or a drive shaft compared to a box, man. Like,
yeah, for sure.
That's one thing about here that I've learned is like have a weak link and make that weak link the easiest thing to change.
Yeah,
because then you can just change the part instantly. Like,
yeah, I mean that's what. Yeah, I don't know. That's still kind of uncommon in the States. I think people are very like about making everything as beefy as possible. But yeah, you gotta have something that fails.
It's just a combo. Like look at Jason's car, man. That car is just so thought out. Like everything suits to what he wants out of that car. Yeah. And it's always reliable, right? Like,
yeah, he just doesn't change it. He
well,
why would you?
Because he got the combo right. Yeah, like he got the setup right from day one.
Yeah,
but that's
he drove the most. He's driven the most out of everybody, I think, and by like a lot.
Even Japan, man, when they sent their cars over, like he was just driving. Yeah. And then I think at one stage I was like, "Bro, your tie rod's loose," and he's like, "Oh." Tighten it up and back out again. Like it's just like, oh, tightened it up, and off he went.
Yeah.
But the other guys, man, fuck, they had some troubles, but hey.
Yeah.
Box
Ryan.
after box after box. Ryan's.
Yeah. Julian drove my car on New Year's Eve, and I got it back, and then I went and did a couple laps, and the shift linkage broke. And I was like, hey man, I know, like, I was like, I think you're pretty strong. And I know you're strong because I feel like this happens to you a lot. I feel like the shift linkage breaks on your car, on every single car you have, and I haven't broken the shift linkage on this car in 5 years. So I'm not gonna say that this is your fault. Like, I don't care, I'll fix it. But like, maybe like, work on the finesse of not like,
check the technique, bro.
Yeah, I was like real gentle with how I like said it, but whatever.
Like the new car that I bought, it's got a potential like blown or soon to blow third gear in it. And I've seen videos of in car, and like the driver's like, yeah, and just like bang, like into third gear. And I'm like, well, that's why.
Yeah.
I think, who is it? I think it's like Kazama or something, like one of the OG dudes, Kazama. He is just so gentle on everything that he does, and it's just like zero problems. Like,
yeah,
you watch like videos of people in Australia, and like, and even like a lot of guys here, like Naoki's just like third gear, give me third gear. It's just like blown box.
Yeah, it's not a drum set. Like,
they welded like a bar in for one of his cars. Maybe it was a Mickey's car. One of the cars, they welded a bar in so you couldn't go into fifth.
Yeah.
Because it's just so violent to go into third that like kept going into fifth. So they put a bar in so you can't go.
Yeah.
And it's just like, how about just chilling out a little bit and getting into third? Like,
well, there's this whole like mindset behind, and I didn't understand this until they explained to me that like, some people like the like sloppy stock shifter. They want it to be like, loose. So when you on a right-hand drive, you could just scoop third to second, like doing one of these.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't realize that. I was like, okay, that makes sense. I was trying to figure out like, because I don't know, I'm kind of like, I don't know about like OCD. I'm weird, right? Like, I like the idea of like a really notchy shifter, like, makes me happy. Like, I'm like, this is the gear. This is the gear. Like, you're not like, is this the gear? Is that the gear? I don't know. But
there's definitely a line in the stand. Like, I've driven some cars here where it's like there is no bush on the bottom of the shifter, and it's just like, I've got it. Or like you're driving with your hand on the shifter, like, I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, the level of like car maintenance, like here, like you either get the guys that are super OCD. Like, I know there's a couple of guys that will not drive Mayhan if there's a problem. Like, even if it's the smallest problem, they will just pack up and go home.
They're like, that's not worth it, not worth the risk. I'm going to total this car if my car is not on its A game.
Yeah,
that's what makes the people who are that good, because they're like, I'll drive around it. Like, Mayhan, it'll be fine,
Like, I mean, going back to my 180, like, I used to get so frustrated because, stock T28 with, like, a shitty exhaust on it and a 4.1 diff in it. And I could not keep up with, like, anybody in the hills. And then I was, like, so frustrated one night that Hero drove it. He's like, I'll drive it. I'll show you how to do the course. And he was all over, like, Streeter. And I was just like, fuck you, dude. Like, I can't blame shit now. But that's the best thing, man. Like, to go driving and have someone either push you or someone to literally like say, get in the passenger seat, like, you're a fucking idiot, get in the passenger seat, like, come and watch
I'll show you how it's done.
And it's just like, right. Like, even like when Brandon rented the rental car, like at Bihoku all morning, I was like, Brandon, like, just chill out. Like, Main Straight, you can get some speed, man. You can put it on the lid. Like, just chill out. And then in the afternoon, Hero's like, jump in, expert style, and does like fucking gnarly full throwdown. And then he's like, this is easy style. And like from there, like, Brandon was just like consistent as fuck, man. Just like line after line after line. It was just like,
so
fuck.
Brandon and I both got to drive Ruben's car in New Zealand.
Oh yeah.
On like the Hampton Downs Club circuit, which like
that's a fast course.
It's a fast entry, right? So
fuck yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm only gonna do a couple laps. I'm not super comfortable with right hand drive. I'm gonna but I still went for it. I was like upshift fourth, throw it in. Brandon goes out first lap and does the same line all the C's guys have been doing all day. Like
he's insane. He's
where
so fucking good.
They cut through the grass and kind of the Naoki line, the C's guys line where they cut through the grass and get the edge of the wall because it kind of opens up, dude. And I'm just like, are you kidding me?
Going home.
And I'm just on the fence. I'm standing up on the fence, super hyped. It's I don't know. Brandon and I both really wanted to drive the whole time, and it was we just went just to hang out. But you're near a driver. You're I want to drive. You don't go there to not drive.
Yeah, and that's the most frustrating thing now is when you go to events and you can't drive, it's salt in the wound. But then at the same time, if you're not around it all the time, you lose it. Going back to Casey and Mez, filming and taking photos all the time, because they were around it so much, they mentally have this image in their mind of how to drive.
Yeah.
So as soon as they started driving, they knew at least the line to take. And if they'd been in the car with someone, they knew okay, well, this is where you select the gear. This is where you sort of full half throttle and all of those little things.
Yeah,
you just pick up. And fucking Brandon's insane, man. I don't know. That dude blows my mind.
Yeah.
And it was the first time he'd driven right-hand drive too. Yeah. So it was just he's in a new car. He's in a car that's probably got 200 horsepower less than his home car. And then right-hand drive on a course which you can put on the lid in 3 different places on the course. And he was just throwing down, and it was fucking epic. We had a rule for the rentals. It was 235 tires only, a low grip. So it was sort of easy. And Hero ended up just putting 265s on for Brandon. It's no, let him go faster. I was oh, cool.
Dude, that's sick.
It was fucking killing it, dude.
What a guy. Yeah, I got some stiff competition on my team, man, but that's good.
That's good. Why I'm part of no team, dude. No teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nah,
are you
dude,
you're kind of the streeter mentality of no comps, no teams, just mountains and keep it
my no comps thing is purely money.
Fair.
The amount that you would spend to go to a comp compared to the amount that you would just go to a normal practice day.
Yeah, you can do
and the amount of driving
days.
that you get. Yeah, well, yeah, right. I think when I did Super D here, I did the practice day on I think it was the Thursday or the Friday, and then the Saturday was the comp day, I think it was. I bought 4 new tires, and those 4 new tires from those two days of driving lasted me probably 6 weeks in the hills after doing Super D. So it was just Mayhan's good to go and take it seriously, but you have to take it seriously. Whereas if you go to the hills, you can go in 40% treads. Oh, I'm out of tires. I'm going home. Sweet as. And it's the same with the comps. If you go there and you've got a half decent setup, you're just pissing money in the winter, I think.
Yeah.
But you got to do it to get better. It's a catch-22.
Yeah.
I like the mini comps that they do, semi score little comps and the Spirit Purple D, fucking whatever that event was. That was super fun, where it was just basically go out, drive as per normal. Yeah. And then at the end of the day, you get some prizes and shit. It was really, really chill. And
I like that. I like that concept too.
It makes it fun because it is like a normal practice day, but then there's this slight pressure for an hour of they're watching me. Yeah. And I want to do well.
Yeah.
So, and Casey fucking kills it, man. Fuck that motherfucker. Meanwhile, I'm fucking wearing all this shit. Like,
Yeah.
he is just so natural, man. Like, it was real funny. Like, 2 years ago when he first moved here on his visa, like Friday or Saturday night, we were just hanging out, had like dinner and shit, and I was like, let's go play golf. So we went and played golf, and he fucking killed it, dude. Like, he is good.
Do you think he's ever played golf before?
Yeah, he has.
Oh, okay.
He admitted it after hitting like 10 balls. So yeah, I've done this before. And he's just naturally fucking gifted, man. Like, oh, it drives me nuts. You know, like you're in high school and there's people that can just like do everything. Like,
yeah. Julian's like
trying
really,
for 6 months.
Julian's really good at a lot of things, and then like, you know, it's really interesting. So like Michael Bigland's D Magic, the guy who does all the liveries and stuff. He's kind of been like learning how to build a car over the last like.
Who was it that said that their goal? I can't remember if it was for 2020 or 2021. I remember like seeing some like little interview or something or other, and it was like their goal was to learn to juggle.
Me.
And it was like, was it yours?
Yeah.
Someone's like, and I was just like, it's genius. Like, coordination, man. Like it's so vital. Like, for no matter what you do, like,
I always watch I watched like Danny Ricciardo, him and his like trainer guy, like fucking throwing balls around all crazy and stuff. And then like Julian can juggle super well. I've kind of slacked off on that, but yeah. I got to the point where I can like keep it going for like a second and then I drop them. But
that shit's hard, man. You
bringing it up has now applied pressure for me to figure this shit out.
It's 2021, bro. You better get that shit nailed.
Yeah. It's been a weird year, but I'm gonna dedicate some time to that.
Maybe that can be your background thing, is like some like juggling sticks or like an improvement on like juggling circus shit in the background, like stilts and shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the next one on stilts. I'll just be like, I'll be like up against the ceiling like this the whole time,
out the window of your apartment.
Oh man. Yeah, so Bigland's Michael he's like, he's been building a car. He has like a stock boost CA18.
Oh.
Like S13, and he hasn't driven much at all. Like, he's drifted like, I don't know, like maybe less than 10 times, right? But he can already like chase pretty decent, and he's like kind of getting it, and he crashes and stuff, but like,
who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly. At least he's crashing and like progressing and stuff. But like, he's like one of those guys who's watched drifting and been around it and like been with us and like gone to Japan and like seen all that. And it's like it clicks for him a little easier, I think, because of it. Like, the skill that he has for the amount of driving that he's done just proves that if he drove as much as Casey did, he would be like, insanely good, just because
Fuck yeah.
So
it's just it's
Michael, get your shit together and drive a lot. I don't know if he's even gonna watch this, but
it's just commitment, eh? Like, I always say sort of like, fucking, I don't want to live in Australia because I can't go driving, but there's guys in Australia that are driving fucking 3 times more than me. Like,
yeah,
it's just purely just commitment to doing it, and it's, you
have to put yourself in the right position where the track is close, or the whatever, wherever it is that you drive is close, and you don't go crazy on your car, and you like keep things simple. Like, look, people are like, oh, when are you gonna do top mount? Like, I'm like, my bottom mount turbo has been working for a long time. Like, I don't really want to change it. Like, why, this or that, like, why would do this, do that? I'm like, I change things as they like absolutely need to change.
Fuck like, yeah. And like, it's pretty much how it should be. I don't know. Like, I guess it's the balance between downtime and feeling the need to change things, or like feeling the need to still be involved with the car.
I come from, I that was like a change for me, because I used to have to change the car like every time, and be like, this isn't right. I got to change this. This isn't right. I got to change that. And then was like, no, I just need to leave the fucking car alone, drive it until it breaks, and then fix whatever breaks, or like figure out like this is a huge problem, I need to change it. And it allows you to drive more because you're not only do you not have that downtime, but you're not spending all your money rebuilding your car after every event, you know?
That, and when you make a change, you know what the change is. Like, if you constantly change your car, you've got no baseline to be like, this is why it's different. Like, I think, who was there? There was a guy, an old school dude in Queensland that used to like change his alignment like 3 or 4 times at a track day. But it was purely because he was like, well, I want to try this. I know what this feels like now. I'm going to try this. And it was just like this would be in like probably 8 or 9 years ago. And he was like the top of the game for like us in Queensland. And doing shit like that was just mind blowing. And then you come here and they're like, they do next level changing here. Like, it's just on top of their shitty cars. But
I haven't, my car hasn't seen an alignment rack since I bought it. Like, I don't know. Like,
dude, I did a string alignment the other week, like last month.
I do the toe and like get some weird, you know, I'll get like the like, you know, the
little
shit that's
plates.
probably way off. I'll do the toe plates, and I'll get like I'll get like camber gauges and stick it to the wheel and see what it says or whatever. But that's it. I don't know what my caster is.
Dude, measure that shit. Caster is super important, eh? Like, it's.
I just adjust it till it feels right.
What did I learn the other week? Like, you can do it just based off of the like eye alignment of the shock, like on full counter. So you like, depending on your setup and like what knuckle and stuff you run, and it's like maybe it's a Mahon trick or something. I don't know, but like like Takumi was just basically like, stand the strut upright on full counter. That's caster. And I was like, what?
Interesting.
And like, it feels pretty good. I don't know. Like,
okay.
And if you watch like some of the Mahon cars, dude, that dude is a textbook. He's insane, man. I mean, like, well, he's a mechanic.
His solar runs are just like he's a machine.
Yeah.
And he's like he cracks me up, dude.
Dude, I can't. He's like, either teasing me or he's like getting money out of me. He's awesome. He's another one like Nishio, man. Like the first time I met him, like outside of Mahon, he was full like, this is a distance. Like, don't want much to do with you. And like since the Alta's like sort of been introducing him to foreigners heaps more, like he's totally different, eh? But he is seriously switched on with cars, dude. Like just
he seems like
fucking ridiculous.
Seems like he just knows.
But they're all like it, dude, though. Like Hero, you go and talk to Hero, he will, if he drives your car, he'll know what's wrong with it. And it's just like, why? And it's just because they've driven so many cars in so many different sort of like stages or sort of like aspects of drift cars. They instantly know, like, this is my go-to. Like, he does alignments based off of his fingers.
You're kidding.
Like, on a hoist, he'll go, like, full lock, put a finger in between, like, the tie rod and the lower control arm. And be like, I've got about this much toe out.
That's
and then from there, he'll then lower the car down and then measure it.
That's insane. He'll be like, oh, it's off. I got to change it. Based
on
the thing.
Like, there's heaps of people that do it though, man.
That's what happens when you leave your car alone and run the same setup forever. You can spot those things like, oh, I'm rubbing here. So something's bent, you know, or like, oh, this shouldn't be touching. Like,
Like the funniest thing is like things touching the body here, like particularly in Osaka, is like number one rule. No, like your car's wrong. If anything touches, you're fucked.
Yeah.
It's like, but everybody runs stretch tires in Australia and they like rub guards and it's gangster. Like,
Yeah.
nope, start again. Like, this is wrong. Like, even to the point of like different size spaces left to right, and like, I mean, it's probably because the bodies are so fucked, but
Yeah.
but there's so many different aspects of like car setup here that's just like mind blowing. Like spaces on spaces on spaces, and like, dude, if you want to like nerd out on like suspension shit, like watch Kawabata's YouTube videos with like Taniguchi.
Yeah.
Dude, it's insane. Like the amount of like nerdery that Kawabata has. Like, he is the biggest like drift otaku. Like, it's like sort of like a,
Yeah.
well, otaku is like perv, but it can also mean that like, you know, you're a diehard fan. Like, that's what you just concentrate on, and he is insane, man.
That's what pervs are.
He's next level, dude. Like, that guy in terms of like car setup, like Takumi. Fuck, if he listens to this and understands what I'm saying, he's gonna get pissed. But like, Kawabata is like, he's up here, man. Like,
dang,
he's perfectionist. He's perfectionist with so much sort of like knowledge and reasoning behind it. It's just,
yeah.
I want to spend more time with that dude if I can.
I'm like I'm a pretend perfectionist.
I know what I'm doing.
I'm very particular about how I like my car to feel. I don't know why or what it does, but I'm gonna change this. And yeah, I feel like the majority of people are like, I know how to set up my car. I'm gonna do it. Like, you know, like we kind of all
put BCs in. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I spent the money on BCs. It's a good car now.
What damping settings are you running on those? I don't know. Full hard
box dampening, out of the box.
Yeah.
Probably every single one's different. I'd love to work there, hey, and like fuck with them all. Put them in the car and please vlog your like installation and first drive. This shit's amazing.
Like, leave like, and just put all of the left left full hard and the right side at full soft.
Ding 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 down the street.
What is love?
That yeah. I mean, fuck, I still don't know. I want to know more of that shit, hey. Like that as you get more into driving and you start to appreciate the small adjustments and small like things of driving, man, like it's becoming insane now. Like even Formula D, man. Like I hate to love Formula Drift. Like the amount of shit they do in their cars now is just mind blowing. Like,
yeah, someone was telling me, because like I kind of, I'm like a computer guy a little bit. I know some stuffs, and I'm like kind of interested in. I'm like learning about all the like data side of racing, and I was like, do they do that? And like, Billy does that essentially, and so we've been talking about it, and he's like, do they even do it in FD? And so I've been talking to people, and yeah, they do. They have like full like
shock rate, like, freaking
they'll
yaw
have
rate sensors,
multiple tire temperature sensors, and like all kinds of wild stuff, so that they can have like optimal heat in the tires for optimal grip, and all this like wild shit that they're doing now. And it's like, that's so far beyond what I want to do with my car. Like, but it is,
yeah, dude. I mean, like,
cool.
yeah. Even when they started going like Winters quick change and shit, I was just like, what the fuck are these dudes doing? Just put a 4.3 in and drive. Like,
yeah.
But they're changing diff ratios, and that is like literally what will win an event for them.
Yeah.
Or like, like essentially it's like Formula Drift has become such a sort of like, not pinnacle sport, but just you could spend $500,000 on a car and still not win if you don't know how to use the car. Like,
yeah. Or set it up. You need both.
Yeah, like there's guys that have been doing Formula Drift for 10 years and know every circuit to a T. And you get the new guys that come in, and like when they step up and they get like really, really good positioning, like it's fucking credit to them, but they're doing it off of like zero fucking info. Whereas the other guys like Gitten Jr. and like Chirk and sort of Forsberg and guys like that, man, they must have like textbooks of shit, just pure data.
Yeah.
Like it's not drifting. That's like fucking cup car racing shit, or like go fucking
yeah.
Nürburg 24 hours or something.
Yeah.
Like, but it's insane, man. Like it's awesome that it's progressed to that, I guess. But
yeah, like even D1 with like the, you know, what's the DD's
DOS.
The DOS, which is funny because DOS is like the original
So
like computer interface. It's just there's two Ds, but whatever.
That is the one thing about Formula Drift that I do like, is they're still at least having like judging by two idiots.
I just I just wish that D1 didn't go so heavily on the like DOS.
Electronic. Fuck.
Yeah, it's like because it's like 80% DOS and then like 20% actual judging.
Well, like, I think it was.
I feel like the judges need to like use that and take that into their like decision making process, but don't make it like
the
deciding factor. Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty anti that. That's one thing I'm pretty D1.
Well, and like they like do the, and it's like super goofy. There's like, you know, one dude waiting in the car like, let's fucking go, and they're like just doing circles around trying to get the GPS antenna to sync up.
Turn off and on again. Turn off and on again.
On the phone with tech support.
Yeah. What are you talking about? It is going in circles. How good would that be if like tech support was an Indian dude?
Yeah.
I mean, it's racist.
There's some smart MFs, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. Like this, it's weird. Like from what I think, like D1 used to be the leader, and then Formula Drift was like money just got poured into Formula Drift out of nowhere. Like people just started spending so much more money, and then D1 was like, we got no money. We want to be more like Formula Drift, and it kind of like then went like marketing and like driver spec to sort of match Formula Drift.
Yeah.
Kind of sucks.
Someone was like, they just started doing rear mount radiators in D1. And to be fair,
that was pretty much like the last 2 years is like the first time that every car has had that.
Yeah.
There's still a couple of cars that aren't.
Yeah. The cars are gorgeous. Like, you know, I like the new Supra, man. You can hate me for that. I know.
Dude, that blue thing. Fuck, I can't remember what his name is. Like, Daigo built this blue thing for some super rich young kid.
Yeah.
Dude, that car is fucking so nice, man. It's like the blue Toyota's A90. It is fucking sick.
Yeah.
Not Kawabatas, the other one. It's still 2J and shit.
Yeah.
That thing looks gangster.
Yeah.
That thing looks proper cool. But I don't know. It's like a fucking supercar, man. Like,
fair. Yeah. Well, we're just gonna be annoying purists forever. But I'm not in that group because I got a BMW and everyone's like, "What is this? This isn't drifting."
You know what they should introduce? Like, instead of having like tire rules, they should have salary rules. Like, in football and shit in Australia, they have they have like salary cap where certain teams can only spend a certain amount of money, and like that sort of hinders them being able to like progress as well with like designing their cars and shit. Fucking bring that into Formula Drift. That'd be hilarious. Like,
tell Ford about your idea. I'm sure they'd love it.
Yeah, well, imagine getting Junior like just being like, "Yeah, now you can only spend like $100,000 this year," and you'd be like, "Fuck."
Be like, dude, we spend that on an event.
Dude, well, yeah, like that's the sad reality. Hey, like, I think.
I mean, Ryan dealt with that. Like, he was, you know, he would talk about it. He's like, look, it costs, as a privateer, I'm on a team and it's like costing me money out of pocket. And it's like, you know, I can't, it's not like you can have like a super 9-to-5 job and do this. Like, you got to like find a way. And it's just like,
well, fucking, there's no way you could have a job and do Formula Drift like competitively.
Yeah, there's no way.
Like, how?
Because you have to drive all the time also to like,
yeah, right. Like,
right. One of our friends, Matt, went and did Pro 2, and he had like a little chunk of money from like, you know, family situation or whatever. Like, not like it wasn't like a continuous stream, but like he went with like a bit, and he did it. He is a master budgeter. Like, he's very good at like finding money and like not from sponsors or whatever, but just like, you know, making money and like stretching money. And even for him, it was just like, dude, I can't do this. Like,
well, like Josh
I got my
Robinson,
Pro
man.
One license. He's like, I can't do it. There's no
Fuck
way.
no. Fuck no.
He's like, you have to be like a fucking celebrity, or you have to have a ton of like an obscene amount of money to do Pro One.
Well, like Matt Powers. What did Matt Powers like? Isn't his dad like a gambler? Like freaking. I don't. This could be some like random rumor. I don't know. Matt Powers, like sorry, bro, but like, I could have sworn I saw like something like you know Dan Bilzerian, how he's just like fucking cashed up like gambler and stuff.
Yeah,
I could swear like Matt Powers' like family was into that. Fuck, I could probably get myself into a lot of trouble on this podcast.
I don't know, man. There's apparently there's like a whole backstory that like Dan Bilzerian's dad is like super well off, and like a lot of the times where he like just like posts like flexes money and stuff, it's like around
fake.
Yeah, he's like getting money from his dad or something. His dad's like a con, like not like a con artist, but like a very questionable businessman or something, and like he's essentially like inheriting that
shark, man. He's probably one of these fucking phone shark, like return our call and pay $7 an hour.
They got, I don't know. There's some. I don't think anyone's that good at cards. You know, like nobody.
Way, hey.
Nobody wins that much.
But dude, the like online poker shit, man, there's cunts making heaps of oh shit, I just said the word like man. It's like there's people like making so much on online poker, dude. Like fucking online. Dude, yeah, like haters gonna hate peanut butter jelly, like
yeah. Such is life, you know.
Those fucking people with money, man.
I mean, what do you think? How do you think your life would be different if you had money? Like, because you lose something. There's like, it's not like you just like get a bunch of cash. Like there is always like that like negative downside. You know what I mean?
I mean, like you look at fucking. I'll even say it. Like you look at like LZ. You look at anybody that's making serious money now and doing drifting. Their actual time drifting, I reckon, is the same as what they would be if they were working a 9-to-5 job. Like the balance between making good money and having to work for that good money, and then having the balance to have time with your hobbies and your family. Man, it's catch-22. Like,
yeah, you're giving up something.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Like you either make the time to be able to do what you want to do, but not have the financial income to do it. And like, you know, like the balance of like,
you're right.
Where am I going with this?
No, I mean, I get it. Like I got like, I got like a job that I was like, I can afford to go drifting as much as I want now, but that wasn't the case. Obviously, you know, you're like, oh, I pay more taxes. Fuck, you know, like when you make when you make $15,000 a year, you don't pay any taxes. So when you're like, I'm gonna make how much a year? You're like, oh, I gotta give literally half of it away. Okay, so I'm like a little bit close. You know what I mean? Like I have a little bit more money and I have to work 4 times as hard, kind of thing. You're like,
but even that, man, like, fuck. I mean, you kind of think about like 6-figure like salaries, and when you got a 6-figure salary, you can go and get like a brand new Audi, or you can go and get like a really fucking like $2 million house on mortgage for fucking 25 years or whatever. And then you're like, okay, I got a six-figure salary, but my fucking bills every week are like fucking basically the same as if I was on like half the amount of like income. Like it's all in balance.
Yeah.
If
I worked at the, you know, if I worked
Macca's.
if I worked at the Apple store, you know, like, and I just lived and I had like I rented a room somewhere, I would have the exact same amount of money, you know. I don't know. It's been like a balancing act. Like as I make more money, I try not to like be like, all right, cool. Now I can get the truck I want, you know, now I can get this I want. I'm like, okay, you don't get that. But you could drift more if you want. Like
that is probably like, I mean, like I've just had a kid. Like 2 months ago, and
Man, I know it was
didn't
like
know
hard to
about
set
that.
it was hard to set this up because you're like I just had a kid. I was like, bro, we don't have to do this for like a year. Come on, like I just got a puppy, and that shit I'm not sleeping. You know, I can't imagine a fucking tiny human.
She's pretty good actually, but like my wife is always like, can we just move back to Australia? Like, can we move to Australia? Like, you can earn so much more money in Australia. And I was like, yeah, but then you'll want a new car and you'll want a nice house and you'll want like this. And you can't go to work in Australia because it's not easy for you to get like a decent salary and stuff.
There you go.
And then it's like the slippery circle of like, well, I'm here. I've finally got a good job and now I'm working fuck tons of hours. It's like, oh,
what are you doing now? Like, are you working for like a Japanese company? What's that like?
My boss is Keske. 865.
Oh, perfect.
No. He comes to Japan and goes drifting, and he's like, yeah, you can go to work.
Why is that not surprising?
Oh, yeah, right. He's going to watch this and be like, salary cut. No,
I can just imagine.
Like,
I can imagine like just his laugh, like when he says it too. But he's like dead serious.
Dude, he's the funniest fucking boss, and actually, like, I love working with him because we see like eye to eye with so much shit. So basically, what we do is like he works for an export company that sends cars to New Zealand and overseas and stuff. And for cars to go to certain countries, they have to have like a biosecurity inspection. So the main company started up an inspection company, and I'm working in that inspection company. So we literally look for pine needles and bugs in cars.
Interesting.
Like,
so you don't cause COVID-22. we don't destroy the forests in New Zealand.
Yeah, but
there's some like mite living in a
dude, it's pretty full on, man. No, literally, dude. Like, fuck. There is one bug that if we find in the car, like Japan and New Zealand is like, no more cars. Like,
really,
they've stopped ships going to New Zealand purely because of like one bug.
That's insane.
Yeah, like it's pretty intense. Like,
so you can't call it in. You're just like, that car's probably fine.
Yeah, right. I wish. I wish. Well, my job is purely like checking it all. So like, because I
bet you find some weird shit.
Not as weird as what I've heard about. Like, because the ships go from Japan to Australia to New Zealand. Mm-hmm. And like when we had the New Zealand government here, like checking on us for the first sort of like probation period of us doing it all, the guys were like showing me shit that'd been found in like cars from Australia, and there's like fucking cats and wild shit just fucking in engine bays and stuff. I want to go to Australia. Like, finding fucking snakes and shit. Like,
they're showing you stuff coming the other way.
Yeah, like what's arriving into New Zealand, man. Like, it's amazing what they find. And like,
so they have to check it at both parts. Yeah. So like, if you miss stuff, the other end's like, hey, what the fuck is this, dude? There's literally
get an email.
Fucking
man,
deer
I found
in the
black
trunk.
Seed. Ooh, sorry about that. So literally, like, stink bugs is what I look for. Like, I don't know, kind of feel like Ghostbusters at times, where like going through the cars, like, whoa. But no, it's pretty cool.
We got one, boys.
Yeah, literally. Like, we had a bet the other day, like, who was going to buy cheeseburgers if you'd found a stink bug. Like, there was like 2 cheeseburgers left from like lunchtime. It's like, if you find a stink bug, you can have a cheeseburger or some just dumb rules like that. Like, we work long hours, so it comes up pretty weird. But
whatever gets you through the day.
Literally, yeah. Trust me, literally.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's good. I'm hoping because it's like first year of business that it kind of flattens out and gets a normal of like, this is how shit works, and can
Yeah.
start going driving again. But,
yeah. Has it kind of like stopped you from driving? Because it's pretty. I mean, you just had a kid too. Like, how's that affect? Like,
that's
you know, Kato had a kid and he still went to FD, and then he had kid number 2, and like after that, it was like, I'm gonna take a break. You know. So.
I've been pretty lucky. Like when I moved here, Jesse's daughter was a year and a half or 2 years old, and she was gnarly, man. And like Jesse used to tell me stories about like just constant crying, like no sleeping, just crying. And when we found out we were having a girl,
perfectly set up for that. He's used to being up all night.
You'd think so, eh? Like on the email, like, fucking shut up. The emails probably got shorter and like blunted to the customers, like $100. Bid made. Fuck off. So like I had this like image of like girl, baby, just gonna cry, and then like my wife's mum was like, oh, like your wife was really, really bad when she was born. And my mum too was like, yeah, you were an asshole of a child. Like you just cried. So I was just like, warning, like pain in the ass baby incoming. Like, but she's been fucking awesome, dude. Like probably this amount of sleepless nights that we've had is probably like can count them on a hand. Like,
oh, that's not bad.
By the time it's like 12 o'clock at night, she's fucking in like Jesus position, like out cold. Like she's pretty good. So plenty of boob, plenty of sleep, man.
There you go. That's what you should, start a parenting class for all of us idiots.
Parenting podcast. How to drift and have kids.
Fuck.
Don't be in the house.
Yeah.
No, like I hate to admit it, but Luke Fink, man, like I don't know if you know him, but he's like the dude in Australia.
Yeah, I that drift the like drift Strava, you know, like the fucking Battlist app or whatever. I'm getting have you know the
what
guy
is that?
It's like 2 GPS antennas and like a little box, and it like tracks how fast you're going and your angle and stuff. Anyway, the dude in Australia makes it. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Mine's on the way, but I downloaded the app to check it out, and I was like, this fucker drives like 4 times a week. You know what I mean? It's like all these like wild entries on the same track, and I'm just like, I guess he has a track or something. But yeah, that dude rips. He came to Sonoma and drove my friend Dono's E30, which is like, it's a S54. I don't know if you know BMW engines, but it's a E46 M3 motor with like a massive supercharger or massive turbo, and it's like 800 or 900 wheel or something. And he drove it in this comp and just like
annihilated.
First day driving it, just destroyed everyone. Like and I drove that car. It was wild. It's super short wheelbase, really snappy, and like insane.
Fink can drive, man. Like I'll admit it, he can drive. We see like this sometimes. We've had some pretty good arguments online and shit, and like, but in person, like he's the biggest legend. Like he's really cool. And but like I remember seeing like I think it was, what is it, Lone Star Drift. Aaron did like an interview on Fink, and Fink was like, yeah, having kids actually worked out better for drifting because you pull your shit together because you have a responsibility, and then because you start figuring your responsibility out, you drive more because it's what you want to do. And then like, fuck,
because you only have so much time. And
yeah, man.
You're like, all right, well, fuck all the other bullshit. This is what I want to do, and I have to take care of the kids, so I'm gonna drive, and that's it, kind of thing.
Yeah. But like, I mean, the 6 weeks leading up to due date, I drove every weekend with Streeter in the hills because I was like, gotta go, baby's coming, it's gonna scream lights, gotta go hills. And like every like Tuesday or Wednesday, Streeter would message me being like, Friday, you want to drive? Like, how many more weeks have you got till due date? And now, like, I think
that makes sense because I was seeing a lot of GoPro clips of you guys for a consistent amount for a while, and I was like, man, these guys are going a lot. It was probably like, it lines up perfectly with that time frame. It
was like 6 weeks prior to having a kid, and my wife's like, you should go. And I was like, I'm just gonna go like 2 or 3 times. And it was like every week I was like, can I go to the hills? Okay.
Is she like, and she just, okay, this is, I might be prying too much, but she knows like what you're doing, and she's like cool with it. Like, did you meet, did she know about drifting when you met her, or was she like around it?
When I bought the S14, she broke up with me.
Wow. Get out of here.
She was like, you spent all your money on a stupid fucking car. Fuck you. And was just like, I can't be in a relationship with this person. And then like kind of like flattened it out. And then it's been a pretty rocky, like, I mean, like, drifters are fuckwits, man. Like,
yeah.
100,000 yen wheels. Fuck yeah. I got 100,000 yen. Fuck, what am I going to eat for the rest of the week?
Doesn't matter.
I was pretty bad, I'll admit it. But no, like, now she's basically like, set your priorities and you can like drive. So
yeah, it's
pretty awesome.
It's taken probably, I've been together with my girlfriend for 5 years now, and I think like around year 4 she was like, oh, you're really serious about this? Like, okay. Like, she'll be like, oh, you need to go to the shop to work on your car. All right, like, do it up. You are like, now we've gotten to the point where she'd be like, you have an event coming up, like, you should probably go work on your car. And I'm like, yeah.
I think it was like last week, my wife was like, yeah, Mia's got her vaccines in 2 weeks. As soon as she's had the vaccines, you probably can go driving again. I was just like, oh, thank fuck.
Like, I have been waiting to hear that for the last.
No, like, it's balance, man. Like, it doesn't matter whether you got kids or not, or drifting or not. Like, you got to have a balance, man. Like,
yeah,
you got to have a good work relationship. You got to have a good, like, family relationship, and you got to have a good, like, friend relationship. If you can make them all fucking line up in the right row, you're killing. And like, going back to fucking money, if I had $1 million a year, or like $20,000 a year, if those things line up, that's what matters, I reckon.
I think I agree with you there. I was on a huge money chase. Like, I was like, I got to make more money. Like, more money I make, like, I can
the cooler cars I can have, the more.
I was like, I can have like 2 cars, and I can have a fucking whatever I want. And then I realized, like, there is a balance where, like, you have to have the time to enjoy the things that you're like working for, and like, if you like try and go too crazy,
that's where Casey fucking kills it, man. Casey understands that to like the T. He works his fucking ass off, and then he just like switches, and he's like driving, or like him coming back and forward from Australia and Japan and stuff, man. Like, it to me is the biggest pain in the ass. But he goes back, he works his ass off for like 4 months, and every weekend he just surfs. And his surfing is like his like vent, and then he comes here and it's like mayhem, just fucking bang, 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 bang.
I remember nuts. When he was in New Zealand, he was like super hyped because he's like, dude, I just got like a big water thing for my house. Like, I can shower and like wash cars now. And I was like, bro, you drive like 3 times a week, and you like can't even take a shower. Like, those are his priorities. You know what I mean? He's like, but like, how dope is how, like, and I was like, bro, you can't take a shower, but your house looks like the fucking dopest bachelor pad ever. Like, it looks like a 70s like drug lord fucking, like,
it's funny, like where I'm sitting at the moment, like, my wife calls it Casey's room at my house, because he'll message me and be like, you want to have a barbecue this weekend? I'll be like, yeah, man, let's do a barbecue. And then like 2 minutes later, he'll be like, can I have a shower too? And like, as soon as he comes, he's like, can I have a shower? Yeah, man, go for it. Like,
He's
and
so
like,
he's so interesting like that. Like, you know, I
dude,
don't
that
know.
is full commitment, but man, like,
Yeah.
and he messaged me the other day, and he's like, I'm not doing it anymore. Like, I can't do that shit. And it's like, fucking fair enough, dude. Like, you can't shit in a normal toilet that flushes, or like,
Yeah. I mean, you know, hey, he went like he's like I want to live the Nara lifestyle to like the 10th, you know, and he went for it.
Dude, he went past it. Like,
Yeah.
that is next level. Like, I'm so impressed he did it. Hey, like that is full impressive. I could not have done it.
And he like
but saying that, I lived in share houses for fucking 5 years, man. Like,
yeah.
in the middle of number for share houses with random people having to catch trains to go streeting or having to do whatever. Like, that was the worst. And then like, look at Casey where he's like, opens his roller door and he's like, which S13 shall I drive? Or like, oh, Nelky's down the road. I'll go get my car fixed and go to the hills. Or, you know, like, it's catch-22.
That's kind of like, Julian is very much of that. Like, I just need to have my stuff and my cars and like everything around me. Like, you know, he doesn't have like necessarily like he just got a truck, like, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago. And like, he literally just got his first trailer, like, I don't know, this year or something.
Really?
Yeah. Like, he was borrowing stuff and he would just do it. But like, he, you know, when I started hanging out with Julian, he lived in a room, like, I don't know how to convert it to, you know, the rest of the world, but it's like, it was like an 8x10. He shared it with his girlfriend in a house. So like, you know, it was like a cool house, but he had like the garage spot for his S14 and he had like they shared I think it was like a Dodge Neon or something. Him and Phoebe, like, that was it. It was like the car and he had like enough to do the car and that was literally it. And he's just been like building for all this time and stuff, you know. It's like kind of amazing. And I kind of got like lost a couple times where I'm like, I need nice shit. Like, I want to have like a cool place to live. I want to like do that. Like, I want to like do XYZ. And then it kind of all came back and I'm like, okay, I need to like make the shit that makes me happy, easy and accessible. And then I did that this year and I've driven more this year than I have like in the last 4 years combined. Just cause it's like, I don't have to like fucking, you know, do a magic trick every time I want to go drifting, you know?
Dude, it's the most frustrating thing about living here is seeing what you could be doing. Like, it is so how do you I don't know, like, it's not about like if you had money, it's just about having the commitment to go and do it. And I mean, like, fucking old mate that we mentioned before, Samet, he's fucking pulling his finger out, man. Like, he's seriously doing it hard. And it's the same with fucking all of the, like, TJ Hunt and LZ and all of these guys, man. They just make it fucking happen. And like, haters gonna hate, but the haters don't fucking do shit. They don't get off the couch. Like, you know, like, even if they agree or disagree with what they're doing, it's like, just don't do it.
I've driven with LZ. I've met him. There's definitely a celebrity tax you got to pay. Like, you know, when he's in an event, everyone is trying to talk to him. Everyone. Like, he's working on the car. And like, same thing with like Hurt. Like, Hurt will be like changing a diff or whatever, and it's like people are like, "Hey, bro, you know." Bake them up, you know, or whatever. Like, like, you know what I mean? Like, they'll just like come up and
pizza.
I love pizza too, bro. You know, like, you're like, fucking come on right now, you know. But like, I don't know.
Like,
that's why I hope this podcast never takes off. I'm just doing this shit for my friends right now, pretty much.
Dude, like, I mean, I've had so many people like message me or like say shit, like get into conversation with people on like Instagram or whatever, and they're like, why don't you do t-shirts like Casey, or like, why don't you fucking do YouTube like Sam? It's like, because they do it. Like,
yeah, I mean, there's
like,
room for more, but at the same time, it's like, if it's not something that you want to do, why would you do it? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly, man. Like,
I like doing
I'm
this.
so confused, dude. I'm so confused with what I want to do anyway. Like, I'm always just like, oh, I want to go drifting. Oh, I want to go on a holiday. Like, I'm so over the place at times.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, sounds like you kind of have your shit together. Why would you? No. All right. Well, no one thinks they do.
In the background, I'm like, oh fuck, shit, fuck.
No one thinks they do. No one really has their shit together. But for the most part, like, you know, you have a family, you're still able to go drifting, you got a job, you got a roof over your head, like, you know what I mean?
Grandpa. Milking it. I hope my wife doesn't watch this. Yeah.
Yeah, so like when you were over there, like did you keep your car at like Streeters, and like you would have to like take the train to go get it, and then it was like, you know, this whole, you'd be like on the train at fucking 6 a.m. with all the salarymen, you'd just be like, fuck, I need to sleep.
Dude, I did that for fucking 5 years. Hey, like, I'd either crash on Streeters like couch after going to Hills, or like just wait until the first train and then catch the train home to Number. Like, I don't know how I did it, like thinking about it now, but at the same time, like living in the city and like Number and stuff was just epic for the first couple of years, because like,
oh, I bet
all of meeting people and experiences of that sort of side of living in Japan, plus the, like, you know, people from Australia come over, hey, like, let's go out to dinner and stuff. Like, now where I live, like, I live in the mountains, and it's like an hour to get to the city by car to go and meet friends if they can get here. But it's just one of those like things that I did for so long, and I look at it now, I'm like, fuck, I should not have done that for so long. Like, should have just moved out and been more into like having no water and like living in a freaking shed.
I mean, I don't know. It's like, it's priorities, right? Priorities change.
Yeah, dude. Like,
it's never too late.
And the thing is like, because of the visa
I still live in the city.
situation,
I'm a fucking idiot, you know?
Dude, no, like, I love living in the city and I love living in the mountains. Like, I'm so here, there, nor there. Like, I'd move to a freaking rad apartment if I could, or I'd live in a rad country house with a shed and stuff like that. Like, I can never decide. Like, I'll go with one thing and then like a year later, I'm like, I'm gonna change.
I don't think I've ever talked to anybody who I can like be on that level with, because people like, you know, everyone on the team's like, why the fuck do you live in the city? What are you doing? Like, you could live like an hour away and you can have all your shit with you. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, there's like something about it that like, I just like enjoy.
That's the one thing I miss about Australia. Like, if I moved back to Australia, I'd live in the city just purely so that on a Sunday morning I could go and get a coffee and fucking Eggs Benedict. Like, I'm one of those.
You can have Yota make it for you now, since he learned, because he's in love with it.
How do you think you knew about the Eggs Benedict, bro? Nah, man. Like, it's the same. Like, I easily could move back to Australia. I just want to live in Japan. Like, there's things in Japan that I love. There's things about Australia that I love, and there's things that Australia that I fucking hate. And same with Japan. Like, it's just one of those things where for so long I lived year by year because of visa, and so it really like made me choose things depending on that situation. Like,
and now you don't have to.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
What is it that keeps you in Japan over going back to Australia? Like, is there like one specific thing, or is it?
I really, really hate the Australian government. Like,
well, now you're never going back. YouTube's gonna transcribe this. You're gonna get a letter. Yeah.
No. It's not the government. It's just like you can't do 1 kilometer over the speed limit. You can't, like, you live in so much fear. You can't have a cigarette sitting having a coffee anymore. You can't afford to have a cigarette and afford a coffee at the same time. Like,
yeah,
dude, it is insane, the cost of living. I mean, yeah, the salary is good in Australia, but the cost of living and just that, like, I want to drive my S14 on the street for 20 minutes. Boom, pulled over by cops. Like, fuck that. It is kind of mainly why I've stayed here, is just purely because, like, I can go and enjoy cars in the most simple form of what enjoying cars is. And it's literally just getting in it and driving somewhere. Like, even if it's just up on the highway for freaking 10 minutes, like, you can do it. So
yeah, living in California, I can kind of associate with that, because it's like you can modify a lot of things, but as soon as you get into like the engine or we can't do the 25-year law unless you send the car to like this government facility and they like add all of these
test it and stuff.
Well, they'll like literally weld on all kinds of like emissions equipment to like if you import like a 25-year older car, it's like $10,000. You send it to this
holy shit,
and they'll like add a bunch of cats and do weird stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. And then they'll like send it back to you with like a little plate, and then you can't change it.
True.
Yeah. So like if you like, even if you want like a JZX or something, you know what I mean? It's silly. So like California, we're kind of limited there, and no motor swaps, no anything. I got pulled over for having like an axle back one time. Like it's the emissions thing.
It's so good here, man. Like, I got pulled over. Actually, there's two like fucking hilarious stories. There's like one, I was in Bay Area with like Hero and all the guys fucking cool. 5 years ago, cops came, so we all ran away. Like, no plates, blah, 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 blah. And I was the dumbass that went to 7-Eleven because it's what they said. Like, we'll go to 7-Eleven. So I went to 7-Eleven and I was like, I gotta pee. So I went inside and peed, and then I come out and there's just like 20 cops around my car. And then in the meantime, like, I'm like, okay, I'll just deal with this. Like, I went up and spoke to them and I'm like, yeah, put my plates back on, rah, rah, rah. Like, I'm sorry, all the rest. And in the meantime, like, people are doing donuts in the intersection, like right behind the cops. And then literally they're like, please go home now. We're sorry for yelling at you. And then I just went around the corner and pulled my plates back off again. And I'm all good again. But like the funniest one was like Streeter and I were going out one night to Hills, and we had no plates on the car, and we're filling up our cars at like the gas stand. And the cops come in and they just like looked at us, looked at our cars, looked at us again, and they were like, they probably were thinking we're like, oh, white boys with no plates on, like, here we go.
Yeah.
They fucking knew him. They were like, oh, Mr. Jesse Streeter, please don't go to Nanko. And he was just like, oh, shit. Like, this is not going to go well. And then, they started, like, saying to us, like, oh, just put your plates back on and go to the Hills, please. Like, they told us to go to the Hills and not to, like, Bay Area.
Wow.
And it was just, like, that was one of those moments where I was just like, you fucking kidding me? Like, you've just caught us breaking so many fucking laws and about to break so many laws. And they're just like, yeah, on your way. Like,
yeah,
just mind-blowing, dude. Like the level of, like,
I downloaded that Streeter vid, like the one in his like white S13 from like a million years ago on Kazaa. Like, that's how long ago I saw that video. And so, like, I don't know, I can only imagine, like, he's been doing that since before
he moved here in like the absolute, like, peak golden era, like the days of Nunco and like all of the D1 cars going down in Nunco. That would have been just fucking something next level. But then again, like, you get people come over here now and they're like, sort of say to me like, oh dude, you moved here in like the golden era of like Hero street drifting in Nunco and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, it has stages.
Yeah.
And it's like it gets really big, and then the police shut it down, and then it falls off, and then it gets really big again, and like. Yeah.
I still haven't gone to the mountains. I've been 3 times to Japan, and I've missed the mountains the first 2 times, and then the third time I went, I didn't get to go, or no one went.
It's becoming a lot more secretive and a lot more not.
Well, the first time I got invited the first time, and then I was like, it was the first time I left the country. I was with my girlfriend. We had done like all kinds of car stuff. I went to Mahon, and we like got in a huge fight, like over me pretty much having like a panic attack meltdown on the way to Mahon because I thought we were gonna miss it because I'm like getting lost on the highways. I'd never driven in Japan. I never left the country before. You know what I mean? And I'm like in this like rental car. It's right-hand drive. I'm like trying to
read the signs.
Yeah,
the traffic lights are on the wrong way. Like
we were super. I mean, it wasn't that hard, but we were late, and then it was like reading Google Maps like in a foreign country is not the same, you know.
The first time I came to Japan and went to Mahon, fuck you, Streeter. He gave me the phone number because this is when like Google Maps wasn't really a thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was like the very early stages of Google Maps, so I still used the maps in the rental car where you put a phone number in.
Yeah.
And Streeter gave me like the phone numbers for a bunch of tracks, and he must have accidentally given me like the groundsman's like phone number or something, because I put in Mahon and I ended up at some dude's house like in Nara. And I ended up getting to like Mahon like probably 2 hours late, and I said to like Streeter, like, I went to some dude's house, and he's like, oh yeah, the website's got like 2 phone numbers, and I was like, dude. It was the funniest freaking like. Don't ever follow Streeter if you're ever trying to go somewhere. That's my point of advice. Streeter, slow down. I've got lost so many times with Streeter, like so many bad stories, man. Like
I like that he's doing like the like Honda racing and stuff, like the Civic races and stuff. That's cool, man. Like, so
when was it? Like, I sent a package to my parents for Christmas, like 2 days before my daughter was born. Right, like we went over to Streeters and we dropped a package off to Senbai DHL and shit to my parents, and Jesse was just going on about it. He's like, you've got to get a Civic. You've got to get a Civic. Like, just do it. And like, my wife is standing there like, now I know why he's such a dick with cars. Like, now I know why he just wants more and more and more. And I was like, dude, I've just bought a 15. Like, fuck you. Like, I've got a 14 and a 15. And then like Jesse's wife's like, oh, you need to buy an S13 then.
Oh, wow.
My wife is just like, not you too.
Like, I can see why this is a problem. I mean, you know, she'll come around.
Oh no, I was so hesitant about wanting to buy the 15. Like, I wasn't going to spend money because I'm having a kid. And then I sort of said to my wife, I was like, look, this car's come up. It's what I want. Like, it's the package.
It's everything.
It's what I want to build. And I said to her, I was like, look, I can either buy it now for cheap or build it for what it's going to cost, like 2 years into having a kid, and be like 3-4 million yen in debt. Like, you know, I want this car before I fucking put the piece of paper down of like, no more drifting. Like, yeah. And she was just like, buy it. Just shut up and buy it. And I was like, what?
Oh. Okay.
Now I'm broke.
I mean, hey man, we're kind of all on that. I'm
balance, dude. It's Mez, I gotta try this fucking meditation thing, man. Like,
dude, the RZA. He like sent it to me, and
Have you done it? Have you tried it?
Of course, of course. He sent it to me after the podcast, and I was like, I was having like a super stressful day at work. I was like, I'm gonna strangle somebody today, like, but except I'm home by myself, so who the fuck am I gonna strangle? You know what I mean? And I'm just like, I'm gonna try that out today.
Time
And I
has
like put it
come.
on and I was like, there's like a cool ass like hip hop beat to it and shit. Like I've like listened to like some of the guided meditations. It's like, you know, just some calming lady or whatever. But this one it's like the RZA, like he's like talking, but like kind of like spit like he's like talking bars at you, and there's like a real cool beat playing, and I'm like, okay, I could get into this.
Hang
and
on,
that just
how do I do this? Dude, iPhone fail, man. Like I can't charge my phone whilst using headphones. So
yeah.
And then I can't use my laptop because it's the fucking headphones don't go on the fucking laptop.
It's okay, man.
At least got like 30 minutes to go.
At least you're using headphones. Thank you.
Well, that was part of the thing, wasn't it? Like,
yeah.
Ilya.
It's fine.
It was actually a mad scramble to find headphones. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, no, fuck that shit.
Nah, it just comes out better. Like if you're in the car, you can tell the difference. Like if you're just like watching on YouTube or whatever, it's fine. Like you can do no headphones and people can like hear it or whatever. But if you're in the car, like you kind of have to like turn it up. And if they're like just there's like it just doesn't work as good. So you know, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for taking the steps. Yeah, I mean, I want an S15. I literally like my mom might be moving to Arizona, and we're like kind of like doing some stuff. And like Arizona is like the Wild West. You can do whatever you want. Like I have friends in Arizona that have like time attack cars, and they just like drive them on the street. They have like license plates.
Do you follow like Dino on Instagram, like Speed Hunters Dino?
No.
He went to like this.
Is that like the editor guy who like lives in Tokyo? Okay.
Yeah, the Italian dude.
Yeah.
He was like on a strong, and I think the whole Speed Hunter thing kind of like faded off with, you know, Instagram and everything else sort of taking over and shit.
Yeah.
But
Speed Hunters kind of like started to bum me out. They started to get like real like, I don't know. Well, they got bought. I think they got bought by EA or something. They got bought by
Need for Speed, wasn't it? It was like
EA owns Need for Speed. EA
funded
Sports.
it, and something I don't know what happened.
So it kind of got weird after that, and I was like, I'm kind of over this Speed Hunter.
It tapered off, but like I follow him personally, and he went to some car park event yesterday or the day before, and this dude had like an Aston Martin like GT3 race car, like tagged as like number fucking I don't know, like 120 of like 400. Yeah. And it's like full carbon race car. And the dude just stuck a plate on it and was driving it on the streets in Tokyo. And I messaged him, I was like, yeah, that legit's got papers, like fucking no way. And he's like legendary. But like,
what are you gonna do?
Literally, like fucking.
Yeah, he probably
see you later.
Dude probably bought like a fucking Aston Martin just for the plates and just slapped them on there.
Dude, it's happened, man. Like, I mean, fuck, it doesn't just happen in Japan. Like my old neighbor in Australia when I was in high school, he bought a GT3 Porsche Cup car and then a normal GT3 and put everything across, and had like a registered GT3 Cup car. Dude, the thing was sick. Like, and he used to drive it to work in a suit and shit. I was like, Mum.
That's unreal.
That is the goal. I'm not gonna lie, that is the goal. But
yeah, I mean that's definitely some salaryman shit. You're gonna have to. That's like a job game. That's like a job that you know you hate, but you're like, at least I get to drive my cup car to work. You know? Yeah. You're like, it could be worse. You like get off work,
or he's probably like sitting at work in a fucking like huge fucking Hugo Boss fucking chair or some shit, just being like, do the work. It's lunchtime. I want to go like fucking racing. See ya.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't know
how do people get those jobs? That's the question. Fuck.
There's three options. One, you start the company.
Parents. Yeah.
Two, your parents. Or three, you go to like one of those really crazy schools and like, you know,
internship turns into fucking, I don't know, Wolf of Wall Street.
Pretty much. I don't know. I wonder that too. But I don't know. I think there's like a lot of shit that you don't see in those jobs where you're kind of just like,
fuck yeah, dude. Fuck
you're like,
yeah, dude.
I don't know if I'd want to have to make that decision. You know?
Fuck yeah, dude.
Like, do I fire these people or these people? You know, you like kind of have to be like a little bit of a sociopath to like.
I employed a dick. Yeah, I don't know. Like,
It's probably easy to get
dreams,
rich if
dude.
you're
like.
yeah, it's probably easy to get rich if you're a sociopath because you're like, well, I don't care about what happens to anyone. Like, you know.
It's like you're either really, really fucking dumb with money and you come like you're just good with like chances and you just get the chances and you become this like fucking vortex of money. I don't know what you fucking but
those are the people that don't last though. You like have to like be good with money and then also be good at the other shit. Like
it's like the lottery, dude. Like lottery people, dude. People that win the lottery,
some of them end up killing themselves. It's crazy.
Fuck yeah, dude. Or they end up in like fucking a trash can like 2 years later because they'd spent it all and like racked up so many freaking loans and debts that they can't fucking cover it again. Like,
I can't imagine winning the lottery and then being broke in like 2 years, but it happens. But it's like no one really teaches people how to like.
More than fuck yeah.
You have to want to be good with money. That's like a thing. Like you can't like no one's just born being good with money. Like it's like a skill that you have to like get good at.
You got to hit rock bottom at least 3 times, I reckon.
Yeah.
So like I reckon 3 times.
Like my family was not good. They had good jobs, but they were not good with money. You know what I mean? Like they were set up. Both, you know, my dad had super rich parents and he fucked it up. Like, and I watched that happen. I was like, not me. I was like, that's not gonna happen to me. Like,
and then you got into drifting.
And then I was like, fuck. All right, well, I don't know. So
yeah, it's amazing. Hey, like
to be clear, I didn't get any inheritance. All right, I'm not balling out of control on the low. Like everything you see, I've done myself.
Yeah, me too, man. Like my fucking parents are on a sweet wicket and they're fucking burning through the inheritance right now, man. Like,
yeah.
Every time I contact them, they're like, I always mention like I'm 31 now, and because they couldn't come to Japan and I couldn't go to Australia. Like my parents were like, we'll get you a 30th present when you come to Australia, because they will not give me money. They know that if they give me money, it's going straight to either like cars. Or like just cars. They're like, they will not give me a cent, dude. So like, it's fucking hilarious. But like, so every time I call them now, it's been like a year and a half now, and I'm like, yeah. So where's my 30th present, yo? Like, what's going on here?
I just bought this 15. I'm gonna need.
I bought myself a wallet the other week, and my mom hit me up, and she's like, oh, so you bought a new wallet? And I was like, yeah, as a 30th present to myself, you bitch. Like, still waiting.
Oh, man. I mean,
fuck,
you know.
Hang on. 2 seconds. I need to piss so bad. Like,
yeah, sure.
The ginger ale's gone through. Hang on.
If you're listening, the background is literally just like, it's like, I don't even know. It's like the paper doors, like the wood and paper doors. And like it's like literally the most like quintessential like Japanese house like background. It's awesome. Yeah. I never know what to talk about in these breaks. He's got a very small TV. I'm sure it would be bigger if he didn't just buy an S15. But also like in Japan, they don't buy big TVs. Not like here in America where we have to have the biggest TV possible. And I think that's a VCR. Interesting. It's probably for the option videos or whatever. Is that a VCR? I'm gonna have to ask him when he gets back. It might be a CD player. Might be a DVD player. Looks like a VCR though. I hope it's a VCR. And he secretly collects VHS tapes of, you know, Dumb and Dumber or whatever. Also, Michael Bigland's favorite movie is Dumb and Dumber. I find that very interesting. He can quote pretty much any scene from it, and if you ever want to make him laugh, that is the key. Send him a Jim Carrey gif. I literally just talked about nothing the whole time. I was telling people that you like, I was like explaining your backdrop, and then that you have, is that a VCR?
Oh, dude. Holy shit, it actually is. I'm trying to turn the heater off in here. This is like a room in my house that I don't really use. It's kind of like a guest room. And holy shit. Yeah. It's actually like a hi-fi stereo VCR.
I was like, either he's like into collecting VHS tapes, or that's been there for a long time.
There's actually some pretty gnarly shit in this room. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like it's strange. Like this, so like I live in my wife's family's house, and they don't use it. Like nobody lives here. It's just a house in the mountains that nobody lives in. So like when we found out that we were having a kid, we were like, oh, well, we can't live in an apartment. Like, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
So we moved here, and we discovered so many weird things. But like the crazy thing is like my wife grew up in this house, and her mum grew up in this house.
Whoa.
So it's
so now
like
your kid will grow up in this house.
Maybe, yeah. How creepy! That's creepy as fuck, but hey,
not
it's
really.
Like,
it's kind of cool. It's like tradition.
Nah, I don't know. I'm just glad no one's died here.
It's like
that
haunted.
shit happens, man. That shit happens, man. Like it is like full Japanese tradition. Where like I think it's the oldest son inherits the house from the family, and it like just skips along through the family.
That's cool. That would be me if we owned houses. Sick. Working on it. I got a plan.
So hang on. Okay, let's hit it. Let's do it. 2021. Have you made goals, and what are your goals?
I have not made any goals. I had like
sweet, because I haven't either.
Should we do them right now? I'm just gonna come up with some shit. I'm gonna make Goodest Cats merch and then just quit my job. Sounds pretty good. I don't think it's gonna work like that, but hey.
Well, I don't know, man. Like, there's a lot of podcasts out there that are doing that. So why not?
Seems to be a thing. I don't know. Keep it like that way. I don't have to like go out and like try and get fucking Monster Energy to sponsor it or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, or both. Fuck it. I'll sell out. I'll drink the unopened can. Yeah, car handled real good. It was, that shit fucking kills me. Oh my god, I watched fucking
Talladega Nights.
Dude, fucking Vaughn does it. And it's hilarious. Like he got caught, so now he knows to open them. But then I saw Denofa fucking did it too. Like I don't know. We were all on like lockdown, so I watched some FD this year, and I was like,
ever since who was that you talked about that with? Was that the Julian and Michael one?
I don't remember actually.
There was one where you talked about that, and then like ever since I heard about that, like people not opening cans and like just deliberately like forcing it in the face of like this Formula One dude is just as bad.
Yeah, it is. I love it. They're like, oh, hold on, I have to put on my watch before I do the interview.
Their gloves have Rolexes like printed on them just so that they can look.
Yeah, that's
sick, but I want gloves with Rolexes on them.
I mean, I'll take a set. Fuck it. They can pay me. They won't. Like,
could you imagine if drifting got to that though, where it's like $20-30 million?
I mean, just think about all the think think about all these kids that are playing like FR Legends and stuff that are like making all the cars and stuff. Like they're
あ、全部閉まったよ。うん。今電話テレビし。The old boy finally made it.
It's like, oh, okay. Maybe that was a good purchase, that S15. He's going to make something of himself.
Yeah. Secretly, he's like, piece of shit. Fucking white boy.
Yeah, what's that like? Are you just trying to, I don't know. Are they like happy? Or I don't know how to ask that question without sounding.
Hang on a second. あ、消した。うん。あ、そうですよ。OK, OK. I hope that didn't come through on the speakers, but anyway.
Nope.
It did, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. That's fine. That's cool.
I've turned the heater off. Turn the fuck out. Oh, he's fucking turned the lights off on me. There's a spot that I can play for my wife. I just got a message from her. Sorry, grandfather came to. Oh shit, and we're on 20% low power.
Yeah.
That's all right.
We'll kill your battery and see what happens.
Yeah, it'll probably
the last two have ended during like the Mez one ended. His shit just died. I was like,
yeah. Oh well, I guess that's the end.
He actually called me back, but then we like really talked a bunch of shit, and I was like, I can't put this out. I was like, I'm just gonna cut it when your shit died. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So what's it like? Like, I don't know. I feel like there's a bunch of people who would potentially like want to move to Japan and like marry somebody and stay there forever. Like, what's that? Like, is it? I feel like it's probably, I don't know. There's like a lot of people who have talked about it, but I don't think that it's.
It's a two-way street, I guess. Like, you can do it, and you can do it like purely out of
trying to stay.
Yeah,
which
I know a lot of people that have moved here, and they're like, "Oh, Japan's the best." Rah rah rah. They get married to stay.
Yeah.
And then they end up hating it. Whereas then there's other people that genuinely have like a reason to be here. Right. And they end up having just a normal good lifestyle. Like the funniest thing is like, do you know Fridays? Jeff Fridays?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Back in the day when
know them.
Yeah, when he was living here, like we'd go out drinking because like the house we lived in was owned by, well, it was like a share house owned by a bar owner, and we'd go out drinking, and they'd be like, "Oh, so you guys haven't been out drinking for like 3 weeks? Where have you been?" And we'd be like, "We've been out driving." Like, what? And they'd just be like, "You have a hobby?" Like the comparison of people that come here. I mean, like, it's probably pretty shit for me to say because I mean, I'm sure the anime is amazing and there's a big culture to it, but whenever like you meet a foreigner living in Japan, you're like, "Oh, so what do you do? Like, why did you move here?" And they're like, "Oh, I like anime." It's like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, why?
You
like,
can watch
buy the books and send them by DHL.
Yeah.
Whereas like then on the flip side, we'd be like, "Oh yeah, so like I live in Japan because I like to beat cars up in the mountains," and they'd just be like,
"You don't have mountains where you live?" Yeah.
You don't have whales and cars in Australia? Like, is it really true that you ride kangaroos?
I mean, I guess that's unfair to like try and compare the two. But yeah, it seems like, I don't know. It seems like I've like heard people like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to Japan. I gotta like marry somebody." I'm like, that's kind of like, I don't know. You can kind of tell.
I always had the rule of don't get married for a visa. That was like my number one rule. And still, I'm not on a spouse visa. And everyone's like, "Oh, but you're married. Why aren't you on like a spouse visa now?" It's like, I don't need to be. I'm on a working visa. Like, it's better. Like,
yeah.
And in the end of the day, like the restrictions like on visas they're the same across the board. So it doesn't matter whether you're married, working, fucking a scientist or whatever, like humanitarians or whatever it's called. Like, no, like seriously, like all of the visas have the same restrictions. So like no credit cards, no loans, no fucking like, yeah, dude, like I can't even get a rental property.
Even with like a spousal visa, you can't get a loan or anything. Does that mean you have to bank out of the country? Like you?
No. Like, you can get a bank account, but you can't get a loan because like
but you're for yourself, for example, like for you to have a credit card, like do you have to do that? Do you have to have like an Australian bank account and have the credit card through them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I don't have a credit card, dude. Well, I have one as an emergency in Australia, but because I don't have any money in Australia for tax reasons, like it's all in Japan.
Right.
Like I don't use it. So like my life in a nutshell is so fucking simple here, dude. There's like no loans, no credit cards.
That's
like
kind
even
of,
when I
that's kind of sweet in itself.
To a certain degree, like it's stressful, I guess, because you kind of do hit rock bottom on the fucking bank account every now and then. Because like if you need something, you have to spend the money. Like, and if you don't have the money, you can't do it. Like you know, simple things like going to the hospital or something. Like if I get fucked up and I've got no money in my bank account, I'm fucked. Especially now having a kid, like. But I bought an S15.
Hey,
priorities.
I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
When that perfect car comes along, like you have to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that there's many people who would be able to say no to that. Or actually, that's not true. I think there's a lot of people who would say no to it, and that's the difference between idiots like us who have like dedicated our lives to this stupid thing.
Well, it was funny because like I was talking to like my dad the other week, and he's like, "Oh, so when are you selling the S14?" And I was like, "Actually, I bought another one." And he's like, "You're a fucking idiot." Plus kid minus car, it's plus kid plus extra car. Like,
I mean, I like the math there.
Yeah, let's just see if I get to fucking use the thing now, eh?
Yeah,
but
you will.
Fucking S15s are only going up in value.
This is an investment, Dad.
That's what I said, actually. I was like, this is a pure investment. It's going in a shutter and it's not getting touched. Next minute, mayhem.
I wish I had somewhere to keep cars that I could buy and hold on to.
I got 2 freaking privately rented shutter garages now. Because it's I have to do that to be able to store the cars. Yeah. It sucks, dude. And like working on the cars in there, it's just you can just open the doors. So like take tires off, like
I built my E36 in a public storage. This is like a company that does like storage things. Yeah. And like you're not supposed to have cars in there at all. Like you're not supposed to, like, you can store a car, but you have to give them your registration. You cannot work on them. But it was like near my job in Redwood City in this like area called Redwood Shores, which is like just like a bunch of trailer parks and like storage facilities, right? And like the guy who ran it and managed it didn't give a fuck. Like he was like, he's like, bro, some of the things that I've seen around here will knock your head off. Like that's what he said to me when I was like signing the paperwork. I was like,
next podcast.
Dude, he got fired. He got fired while I was having I would pull my car out of the thing and I'd have like the hood open and like I'd be, fucking with shit. I was like installing my like gauges or whatever. And I was like, well, I gotta know if the tack works. Like, yeah. And like, there was all these like tweakers living in like campers and stuff like in there, and they would be like barbecuing and shit. And like across the fence was this trailer park, and there was like a dude who's doing tattoos out of like his trailer, like and like this
is a full King of the Hill shit, man.
For sure. And like there was like this flat black Audi A8 that would come in 6 times a day. 6 times a day. They
Nothing
would like
sus
come
about
in,
that.
go open their thing, close it, leave. Like, 3 hours later, come back, open it, close it, leave. And I'm like, I know what's going on there. But like, no, the best part is like, I by far wasn't the worst one there. Like, it was all these like tweakers like stealing shit out of other people's units, and like, and then they got new management, and luckily I got really lucky. And my friend who he got a job at Tesla, and he had a shop, and the rent, he'd been there a super long time, so the rent was cheap, and he was just like, hey, you can rent a spot here. And like that's been everything. Like, I've been able to drive so much more, because it's like I can come back from an event, throw everything in there, and like if I need to work on my car, we can move stuff around. And there's like, tire machine. It's like it's like similar to N Style, where it's like a very small shop with like only like one lift, and then one like weird lift that is, of course, is the one that everyone uses.
You're worried that you're gonna freaking die if you use it.
Yeah. Just like, now he like closing his eyes and welding. I love that shit. I like went there. I was like, dude, our shop's like N Style. It's got like weird color floors. And like,
there's so much dodgy random shit here.
Yeah, it's sweet. I don't know. Yeah, so I hear you. It's not having like your place with all of your things, where like this is mine. Because I still gotta like share it with people or whatever. Like, this is mine. This is where all my stuff is. Like, no one's moved anything.
It feels that like lack of, what do you call it? Lack of preparation for events, because you can't work on your car properly. You then like, oh fuck, Mayhan's tomorrow. I need to change tires. Oh, I'll just do it at the track, or I'll do it on my way the night before and not sleep, and then yeah.
I mean, yeah, so like, I guess like, I don't know. Obviously in Japan there's no space. Like even like Yota like keeps his car somewhere far away, and everyone just has like apartments, or like most of the drivers have that, or like what is that pretty much common? It's like they have like a small apartment, and then they have like a workspace somewhere.
Shop. Yeah, it's pretty common to have like a dirt cheap like 1-room apartment, and then either have like a 4-car workshop, or just a shutter garage, and then a friend with a workshop that they just milk out of. So
the shutter garage is like pretty much just like a roll-in, like it's like room for 1 car pretty much.
Like I got probably the new one that I got's really good. It's really high, so I'm gonna try and build like a shelf. Like as you drive in, I'll build a shelf so you drive in under it, and then that way you've got like a mezzanine kind of thing.
Yeah.
But there's like, you can't even get anything down the sides of like the 14 now. I have to pull shit out to be able to pull the car out, because I've got like wheels aside for the S15, and then I've got like a bumper for the S15, and then like,
so you like pull it out, pull the car in, put everything behind it. Yeah. That's how mine was. I had like you like pull it in, and you gotta like climb out of the driver's seat, and like, or you like can't even open the door, so you gotta like do one of these. I'm like
when I first moved here and I met Hiro, right? He didn't have a shop, and he had 4 shutter garages, 1 purely for tires, 1 purely for like I'm not joking, dude. There was a shutter garage full of tires, a shutter garage full of like gearboxes, drive shafts, knuckles, and doors, and then another shutter garage with a car in it, which was like his good car. Then another shutter garage had like fucking tools or something, just random shit. And then he had cars parked like fucking everywhere.
Like, you just leave them places.
Yeah. Pachinkos and shit, like fuck.
When I first got my E36, I got a gym membership at this gym that had 20. It was like a 24-hour gym, and it's like gym parking only. So I just left it there.
It's like Casey for the shower. Parking.
I was like, hey man, I was like, all right. And I had a friend. It was like there was like a gym, and then it was like an apartment complex, and so I would move it between like the gym parking and the apartment complex, like visitor parking, because like my friend would check on it for me. So I would just play this shell game, and then people started to catch on that you could like leave cars in there and like get
They
a gym
started doing it
membership.
too.
Dude, I swear to you, there was like 10 stance cars all in this like same garage. One time I was there and I was like, I was doing, I think I installed my knuckles in that parking garage. Like I just like pulled up with my 4Runner and like hopped out with like my tools and all my shit, and I was like jacking the front up and like did the front, I did the knuckles and that actually.
That is, yeah, I think that is probably the one luxury I miss from Australia is just, I bought a car, I can just store it in my front yard, like,
yeah,
no problem. Or like, like double garage, I can put a car on stands and leave it for a week.
Yeah.
Whereas here it's like, I mean, before I had shutter garages, it was like open parking space. So I would work on my car out the front of streeters on the street.
Yeah.
And it was just, the neighbors did not like me. But, like it's just, you just got to do that. Like I did, like, I think Jeff's last event here was like a Naoki Sokol Kai or something. And Jeff had a blown turbo. And I changed his turbo the night before the event in his car park in the rain just so that he could drive that last event. Oh, and we even had foreigners like offer to come and hold umbrellas.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Dude, no, it's not cool. Like the level of desperateness, I don't know what to say. Like they were so desperate to go to fucking Mayhan that they were like, oh, we'll just change the turbo. We'll hold umbrellas for you. And it's like, who the fuck are you? Like, that was a good kick. You get some pretty interesting stories, dude. Like people just randomly messaging you being like, hey man, can I come to the hills with you? And just,
yeah, that one's a no. For sure. That's always a no-go.
We've been dicked over so many times, dude. Just because
like filming and stuff, and
we've had car crashes. Like we've had people.
Oh, they'll bring a car.
They'll bring a car, like their rental car, and like follow us up. And then like halfway through the night, they'll be like, "Oh, we're bored. We're going home." Going down, and people are driving, and like smashes. Have had like. Have had people never rock up. Like we go out specifically for people and then they never rock up. I mean, it's like fucking whoop-de-doo, we start driving. But when you actually sort of like make an effort to go out for people, 10%. I reckon we got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, I don't know, 20%, 10% of the 20% went fucking long.
Yeah.
Let's fucking see how this goes.
Damn. So
2021, living life on the edge.
So you'd be like, oh yeah, let's go to the mountain, and like just never show up. That's crazy. I can't imagine that.
Never showed up, caught the wrong trains.
Yeah.
Have had people like, I took like 4 people out one night, like not drifting, like just took them out driving around like Nanko and stuff on a Saturday night. Because I was bored and they were in Japan. What company were they from? Shane called me. He's like, take these people like to the Bay Area and show them around. Okay. One of the it was 2 dudes and their girlfriends, and one chick was just like, no, fuck this. It's 1:00 in the morning. I'm going home. Just got out of the car and fucked off. And I was just like,
the day before.
Do I need to care about this, or do I need to like go and pick her up and be like, I'll drop you back, or like, and the guys were just like, no, fucking let her go. And I was like, holy shit, like it's fucking in the middle of nowhere. There's no trains at this time, and what's she gonna do? And they're like, she can get a cab. Apparently she did.
Huh. All right, fair enough. That was like
peace out.
I went to Daikoku parking area. Is that how you said it? Did I butcher it completely?
I probably can't even say it. I don't know. Daikoku Futo. I don't know.
We got on a train. I was like, this is where it is. We're gonna go. And we like went on a bunch of trains and like went all the way to, because we were in Tokyo at the time, went all the way to Yokohama, got off, like got in a cab, and I was like, I want to go here. And the guy's like, what? I was like, here, take me here. And he's like, no. And I'm like, no, I want to go. Take me to this place. And he's like, he's like, why? And I'm like, because there's cars there. And he's like, yeah, it's a parking area. And I'm like, yeah, just trust me. And so like he drives us there, and my girlfriend is
pissed.
Yeah, she's like she's like, you fucked up, but this is like next level. We are in a foreign country and you're taking us to a place where a cabbie doesn't even want to go. Like, this is gonna be bad. We get dropped off, and it's like we get dropped off on like as you're coming in, it's on like the left
outside?
side, but there's like yeah. So he didn't take us in. He just dropped us off on the outside, and there's nothing.
Nowhere to get in. Yeah, nowhere to get into.
You can't. Yeah. So they're like, you can't see any. Like, so he leaves us on the outside, and we're like walking around.
Peace out. Closes the door.
Yeah. He's like, this is what you wanted. Okay, here you go. You said yeah. I was like walking around, and she is like, not having it. Like, not having it in the slightest. And we're walking around, and I see like an S13 start to like rip donuts in the intersection. I was like, we're here. Like, I don't know how to get in. I don't know where it is. Like, so I'm like walking around, and I like go right. It's close. It's close. Like, so I like go left, and it's a Bozuzoku holiday, and it is fucking packed, right? But I can't get in there. And like literally I'm like walking towards like the freeway booth on ramp, and she's like, that's the freeway, you idiot. And I'm like, how do I get? I was gonna go to the freeway booth, and I'd be like, I want to go in there. Like, how do I go in there? So I was like talking to some dudes outside, and they're like, we were just using Google Translate, and they're like, no, it's shut down. Like, they won't let anyone in or out because of the Bozoku holiday and blah blah blah. Like, you can't. Pretty much like, you fucked. So sorry. And then we just talked about like West Coast rap for like 10 minutes or whatever, and it took us.
It's just like,
I had to call it an Uber Black, and it was like $80 or something, because I didn't know how to call a cab or anything. I didn't know how to get picked up from there. She was not happy. It was not a good.
It's just one of those countries, man, where like everything seems so accessible, but is not accessible.
Yeah,
like I've heard so many horror stories of people getting cabs to fucking circuits, like catching trains and then catching a cab to the circuit, and they're like, oh, this is sweet, we got here, that was easy, and then they can't get home because they can't get a cab. Yeah, they can't call a cab. Like, I've had people call cabs for foreigners at Mayhem before, and like, it's so fucking embarrassing.
There's a dude who took a train and then a bus and then walked to Mahon.
Oh, who was that? I remember talking to that dude and being like, what the fuck?
I mean, he's cool. He was a nice kid. But he asked for a ride home, and I was like, dude, we literally have like 8 people in a 6-person van already. This is probably...
Dude, there's been so many like that.
That's probably been honestly, a lot.
There has been so many where it's like, yeah,
trying to get a rental car day of to go to Ebisu. Like, we like got off the train, and I'm like walking around, and there's like all these like rental car places, and I'm like, rental? Like, and they're just like looking at me like, today? Like, right now? You just walked in.
You want me to do
here,
the paperwork now?
And you don't speak English, and you want me to? And it was very different to like Tokyo, where you're like, okay, whatever you want, like, we'll take your money. Like, they were like, the fuck? And so I went to like 10 places. Maybe like 5. There was only really 5. Like, we were walking around, and like that was like the only time I ever felt like very like out of place, because like being in Tokyo, you're like, all right, there's like lots of tall people, and there's like lots of foreigners, but like there, you're like, the average height is a little shorter, you know. And I felt like this like fucking monster, and I'm like walking around like, give me a car, you know. But we got one. And fucking worked out.
That like
had to be nice. I was like trying so hard to be nice, you know. Respectful.
I've even had people like want to come out street drifting, and they're like, "We've got to catch the train home," and you're like, "Oh, that's okay." Like 5 o'clock in the morning, like first train's at 5, and they're like, what time's like the last train?" It's like 12:30,
Yeah.
and they're like, "So how do we get home?" It's like, well, that's street drifting, I guess. Like, stay awake.
You wait till 5. Yeah.
Mm.
My friend,
The worst is when people crash, bro. The worst is when you take people out there and like somebody else crashes and they're like, "No, we want to go home now." But like, because I live here, or like, whoever lives here who's actually driving, it's kind of expected to help and like fix a car so that they can go home. And if you've got people that are like, "We need to go home, we need to go home, we need to go home," like, hurry up, and you leave, it's like super frowned upon, man. Like,
interesting. Well, yeah, you don't want to just be like, "Oh, sucks to suck. See you later, fuckers." Like,
blown diff, poos. it happens, but man, like, but it's one of those things where it's like, if I don't stay and help, the day that I get into that situation, I would hope that those people would help me.
Yeah.
And like, it's fucking happened, man. Like, I've crashed at Mahon, and I've had like, I think it was like the first big crash I had at Mahon was, I don't remember how many years ago now. And like, Fujio's like, "Oh, you live down the road from my workshop. Put your car in the truck." And I was like, "I just finished fixing it." And he's like, "Okay, bye." But like, dude, never really had spoken with Fujio, but he's like, "Oh, put your car in the truck." And it's just like,
I want to have a beer with Fujio so bad. I feel like that guy's. I feel it. Casey was telling me he's like real quiet, but then like you like go out to dinner with him and he's got some fucking stories. Like,
I bet, man. I bet. I can only like, I want to get like all of them drunk at like the same time, not just like have one person like on the beers. I want like an event where they're all just plastered. Like, that'd be hilarious, because it just doesn't happen.
You remember this? Yeah. The fucking stories that would come from that, I'm sure. And like now he doesn't drink at all, right?
Not very often. I think I've seen him had like a beer like maybe once or twice in 7 years. I've never seen Hero drink. Zero. Like, never.
Interesting. Maybe there's something to that.
His excuse is he just doesn't like it. It's like, okay. I mean, saying that, I don't really drink anymore either, because, well, the biggest thing is it's zero tolerance here, man. Like, if you drink and drive, like, even one beer, you're over the limit. So it's no point for people that want to go driving, even though they're breaking the law anyway. But yeah.
I mean, I guess
it's the commitment, bro. It's the commitment to driving. It's like, why would I spend 1,200 yen on a 6-pack of beers when I can spend 1,200 yen on a quarter of a tank of fuel? Like,
crazy. Yeah.
But then the MCR dudes, next level.
Really? Interesting.
Liquid motivation, or liquid confidence.
Interesting. But like,
I've heard some very scary stories.
He's got some.
He must he must have some cash now, man. I don't know how it works. Like, he's another character I want to spend some more time with. Like, I met him in 2011 in Nagoya in the Bay Area, and like spoken to him a couple of times, but not like Travis. Do you know Travis that lives up in Nagoya? Like, he spends a lot of time with Yokoi. Travis is from Texas. He's the dude that sort of lines up all the Lone Star stuff for Aaron. Aaron. I don't know how they say that word. Aaron.
Good enough.
That dude.
Yeah.
Travis spends his time with Yokoi, but like, he is a big drinker. Like, I remember seeing like the D-Max Instagram like one year after like Yokoi won the like D1 GP for the year. Like, they did a story of him like stumbling into a hotel, like just completely flaccid and being like, "Give me my keys," like out of it. But yeah, like there's stories that those guys will have like 2 or 3 beers and then go streeting, and it's like they're like sort of, we have like no tension in our body kind of thing. Like,
I know people who swear by it. I've never done it, but I'm the type. I'm the type of dude who like I could probably like I don't know. I could probably like BS with somebody. I could like talk to somebody like maybe a little bit more fluid, but like
the banter.
if it comes to like motor skills or whatever, like out the window. Like if I'm working on my car and I have like a beer, I have some. You know how some people are like, oh yeah, like it chills me out and I can I can just wrench or whatever. Like me, I'm like, what was I doing? Oh fuck, you know what I mean? It does the opposite, so I just avoid it.
Well, like I think the whole 0.08 or 5 or whatever it is, the like legal limit, right, is based off of World War II fighter pilots. Before like the fighter pilots would fly out, they'd give them a beer and they were like approximately that sort of limit. And that they said it increases their skills. Like, dude, like I don't know who the fuck told me that or where that came from or if I read it somewhere, but that's apparently why they have that limit.
Interesting.
As to why. Yeah, dude, like maybe I'll look it up later, but
that's fucking crazy. All right, well maybe I'll give it a shot.
The MCR boys, I think they fucking used to live by it, but fucking like heaps of the drivers are fucking alcoholics, bro.
Yeah.
Like I think Kazama stopped drifting because he was like, no, I just want to go drinking. I had read that somewhere, and like, who else was a huge drinker? I can't remember now. Like just some of them you just see every now and then. They're like, oh, they haven't been out to me. They haven't been driving for a while. And you see like in the background on their Facebook or something, it's just like girls bar. Like, plastered every weekend. Like,
they're like,
priorities.
I mean,
fucking Case me beat me at fucking qualifying. I'm going to the fucking girls bar.
I don't know. I feel like there's so many similarities, but then also not, like with Japan. I don't know. It's kind of crazy because in Japan there's so many like older dudes who've been doing it forever, like based compared to like where we're at, where it's like it's mainly like people like my age and your age, like we're the same age, so fucking our age. And like there's like some OGs who were like kind of older, but like they didn't have like the places to go drive as much. So like their skills are good, but they're not like Japan good. They're not like second generation. You know what I mean? Like we're kind of like we're part of that like first generation of.
I reckon I'm second generation in Australia.
Sure.
Because there was like Drift Australia, like all of that stuff, and it was kind of like I could rattle names off, and you'd be like, "Who the fuck is that?" But there's like a whole list of guys in Australia that are kind of like the first gen, and then like Mez, myself, Casey, we're kind of second gen.
Yeah.
And now there's like 3 and 4, man. Like since I've been here in like the 7, 8 years that I've been here, dude, like I could probably go to the like Queensland Raceway or whatever and know 0 people. Like I have no idea who it is. And it just changes fucking every year. And like even looking at like the for sale threads on Facebook and stuff, the same cars are going through so many people because they're like, they get into drifting. I'm over drifting. They get in, like the next person's like, oh, I want to get into drifting. It's sick. And it just fucking filters through, dude. Like, I think that's why Australia sucks for driving. Like there's some dudes that are fucking amazing and it's because they've stayed in it.
Yeah.
But there's so many people that are just trash because they're like, oh, I can link 2 corners. I'm good. And I'm going to get over drifting now. Like, I want to go jet skiing now.
I think there's a lot of that everywhere. Yeah, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to find people who like will dedicate their life to it. It's not common. But that's the case with anything.
Now
we lost him. His phone died.
Back. Coffee made. Cigarette smoked.
Nice.
Battery charged minimally.
Yeah, so we're just shitting on everyone who does drifting for like 2 weeks and then decides they're good at it, and then.
Well, I think the thing is now, man, like it's getting cheaper to do drifting overseas than it is in Japan. Like,
Wow.
to buy cars at least. Like, I don't know what the States is like. Like, I've seen a couple of cars for sale in the States where you can get like $5 or $6 sort of like not amazing drift cars, but you can get an S chassis with an SR that's within a reasonable budget. Whereas here, it's just becoming like $10,000-$20,000 like investment just to get a car. So a lot of the young kids now just can't afford to, like, they can afford to buy the car, but it's like, no, I'm not putting it against the wall in freaking Mahon. So now it's becoming sort of like drifting is all the OG dudes only, because they're the guys that have already got cars or have got like 3 or 4 stashed up from when they were cheap, and they're also at a time in sort of their career wise that they can afford to just basically go drifting continuously.
Yeah.
So like, I think that's probably Japan's biggest downfall is like, even though it's awesome that like taxes and stuff haven't raised as much as other countries, it's like in comparison to Australia, it's just nothing. But Japan has stayed on such an even sort of like salary level and tax level and cost of living. Like, it's been so sort of stagnant that because the cars are becoming so much more expensive, people can't afford to do it anymore. So it's kind of shitty, but at the same time, like, the guys that do it are getting fucking good.
Yeah.
Or have been good for the last fucking 10 years.
Yeah.
But like, in terms of like young and upcoming drifters, they're either like kids with serious money and can afford to do it, or there's just no sort of like young dumb idiots doing it anymore. So
Interesting. I didn't think about that at all.
Dude, like, I mean, you probably wouldn't get a stock 180 or S14 for under $1 million yen now. Like, it's becoming serious money.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely going up around here as well, but I didn't realize it's like on par, where it's like it's the same price there and here essentially.
It's getting pretty bad, man. And even like engines, man. Like, I was looking on Yahoo last night just for a joke, and engines are around 200,000-300,000 yen, and it's like,
yeah, I mean, that's
from when I first moved here, it was like 50,000 yen for an engine. Now it's like 300,000 yen for an engine, and
yeah,
I mean, like, my 180 I bought for 150,000 yen, dude. What, like $2,000 US? Like,
yeah, that's insane.
Fucking nothing.
I remember, yeah, because I remember like you'd go look at the auctions or whatever. You're like, these cars are going for how much? That's insane. Like $2-3 for like, something really cool. And then, the export market just like,
And even then, when I moved here, like Jesse and Shane and stuff were like, parts are stupid expensive now, but we look at it now and it's even like tripled in price. Like, like an SR gearbox is 100,000 yen, whereas they used to be like 20 or 30,000 yen. Like,
yeah,
it's just insane.
Yeah,
it's just absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's like what cars are gonna be next?
350s.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, maybe I don't know. Even 350s are.
I mean, like, yeah. What do you guys have coming up there? There's not like a ton. I mean, like, there's not like a ton of cheap rear-wheel drive cars made after a certain point.
No, I think.
How crazy would it be if we start like? It's gonna be like a reverse importation of like.
Do you know what's funny, dude? I've been saying it to Shane. Yeah. I've been saying, like, maybe we should fill a container in Australia and send it back to Japan.
Yeah, of like 350s, dude. If you filled a container
of like S13s, dude.
Yeah, if you
just bodies, for example.
Yeah, if you filled a container of 350Zs in the US and shipped them back to Japan, like a bunch of left-hand drive 350Zs, like you could get. Yeah. Anyway.
Stance Nation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if like, is that like a sought after car in Japan? I guess it's like because it has the big displacement, people don't want it.
I just don't think it's been dived into. Apparently, they're becoming more popular for time attack and circuit racing now because they're an affordable chassis.
Yeah.
It hasn't really hit off with drifting yet in regards to like serious guys that go drifting. I think there's a couple of young dudes that probably kick around in them now.
I feel
if anything, I reckon like roadsters and Miatas or whatever you call them, I think they might become the popular chassis.
Interesting.
'Cause
there's a lot of them.
There's a shit ton of those things, and like, I don't know, ZN6s, like the new Gen 8 6s, they're becoming a lot more affordable, but then, you know, like tuning wise, they're not cheap.
No.
Because you've got to go down the whole engine swap decision and all that sort of stuff just to get, you know, your 300 reliable horsepower.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be pretty interesting, the direction of drifting in Japan over the next probably 5 to 6 to 10 years, I think. Like, a lot of people are now starting to hold on to cars. Like, they do not want to sell cars. Which is why I jumped on buying the S15, is because I knew that like in 2 years' time I'd be paying $2 million just for the S15, plus doing what I want to it, is, you know, then plus another 3, 4, 5 million. So
yeah,
it's serious, man. Like it's one of those things, like you said before, like no matter what hobby you do, if you take it seriously, it'll cost you money, and it's like that's okay in my eyes.
As long as you got some kind of purpose in this life, you know.
Dude, and that is the biggest frustration with working in Japan, is like Japanese people, particularly like males or the guys, they are pretty much like, what do you call it, a bread maker, or, you know, the money earner. Yeah, the money earner in the household. So thankfully I'm not in that position too much. So
nice.
Not well, I mean, yeah, like I'm the one earning income in my house, but like I'm not having to give up everything to do that. Like,
yeah,
it's pretty common here that like the young guys that are drifters that do get married and have kids,
they're done.
Boom, everything's for sale. Everything's gone. And then it's like I've now purely got to put my income towards my family. So
whoa,
that's another reason why like a lot of the young guys don't stay in drifting as much in Japan, is just purely salary. Is like, you know, having a kid is a lot of time commitment, and it's obviously a lot of financial commitment, but you've also got to consider like, you know, living and all the rest. And one thing that I found out the other day is like even though my freaking daughter's 2 months old, we now have to sort of start thinking about where we're going to live in order for her to go to school. Like,
yeah,
you know, like I said before, that to have a car registered in your name here, it's got to be registered to an address. So if your house can't have a car parked at it, like you don't have the space, you have to rent like a shutter garage or a car park. That address has to be 2 kilometers away from your residential address. Like, it's got to be within a certain distance for you to be able to get the certificate, to get the registration. It's the same as schools, man. So like where I live now, there's one school. And that means that my daughter can only go to that one school. If I move 5 minutes down the road, there's 3 schools, and I can choose from those 3 schools for her to go to. So a lot of people, when they have kids, they move to like good areas where there's heaps of schools so that they have choice. But if they live in an area that's like affordable, or, you know, in an inherited house or something, and there's only one school, they're fucked.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the drifter guys probably live in a cheap house in the middle of nowhere, and then they have a kid and they're like, oh fuck, there's no schools here. And they have to go and buy a house, or they have to, you know, financially commit to living in a house that's more expensive, purely because everybody else wants to live in that area so that they've got schools for their kids. So
yeah, I think that's the case here a little bit.
Mind blown.
Yeah,
no, like
we have school districts and people move just for that.
Really?
Yeah.
True. Like, that doesn't happen in Australia. Like, wherever you live, if you want to go to a school, you just apply to the school.
Really?
And if they say, like,
Yeah,
there's not enough kids here, then yes, you can come. If there's too many kids, like, fuck off.
yeah. For like here, people move like to certain counties or even like cities within the counties just to go to like a specific school.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing.
Yeah. So I gotta keep.
I mean, it's a little bit
keep that
selfish,
in mind.
but like,
Yeah.
it's a little bit selfish, but like at the same time, it's like I don't want my daughter to have a shit education or go like literally like where we live. There's no fucking kids, bro.
Yeah.
So if she goes to that one school, there's probably going to be like 5 kids in her grade. So she's only going to have like 5 friends. Whereas if we move literally 5 minutes down the road, where the like cost of living like pretty much triples, but we have more schools, she's going to have more friends. It's bizarre, dude.
I mean,
apparently it's a Japanese rule, but like I think like from what my wife was saying is it's because of like those schools are all like the government funded schools, like public schools,
right?
So the government put a restriction in on the schools basically accepting only people from their area. So like if the government puts, 3 schools in one area and they're all really good schools and everybody from other areas want to go, it's just going to fuck up. Like,
yeah, they do it here because the property tax goes towards the school funding.
True.
Yeah. So like in the US, that's how it works. And so like it's like good if you live in an expensive area, but if you live in a cheap area, then it means your school gets no funding. Yeah. So it's like kind of like this, like, there's like some debate on whether that's a good idea or not. I feel like that schools should probably be equally funded, but that's for a different podcast that I'm not going to be on. Like, I don't know shit. Is there any did you have to like adjust your like drift technique, or is there anything that like you found through drifting in Japan that you would never have known if you hadn't gone there to either like watch or drive, or especially drive, I guess?
I think the biggest difference was that my like driving style and my understanding of drifting in Australia was you force the car to drift. Be it clutch kicking it, be it pulling on the side brake, e-brake, side brake, whatever you want to call it, to get the car to drift and then go. Whereas here, as soon as I moved here, it was like, and I specifically remember like going out with Shane one weekend and him basically saying like, don't drift, just grip and like get faster and get faster and get faster. And when you start to get faster, you know how like your car will start to brake. You'll break your traction point. And then from there, if you understand that traction breakage point, you can then initiate drifting. So like if you watch like really, really, really closely, like say you get a mediocre like Japanese drifter and a mediocre like American or Australian or New Zealand drifter and just purely look at lines that they take, it is backwards. Like, well, I mean, it's easiest just to watch Naoki, I guess. But if you look at the way in which... if you look at the way that they drive into the corner, not out of the corner, like foreigners will like sort of enter late, or they'll sort of like bum drag, or they'll clutch kick in the wrong direction and like sort of make an overextended entrance to the corner. Mm-hmm. That is the opposite to Japanese drifting, in my opinion. Where like the entry speed in Japanese drifting is so much bigger because it's braking. Like you're coming in so much faster and using inertia and all that sort of technical crap to get into the corner. And then as soon as you're mid-corner, you're preparing yourself for the next corner. Whereas like I see, in my opinion, and it was the same with me, is like, yeah, I'm baking this corner, and oh, fuck, there's another corner. And by the time I realized, like, fuck, there's another corner, I'm facing the wrong way and I'm not prepared for the next corner. And it then becomes this real wishy-washy drifting style, like where it's
like big swing transitions between each corner. And
and like that then takes the speed. The speed then just drops off. As you drive more corners, the speed drops off, or you kind of get behind yourself and then you carry yourself back up through the corner at the exit. You're like, oh, I'm getting all this speed again. Oh, fuck, there's another corner. And it drops off again.
Yeah. One thing I noticed, like,
so, like
watching you guys on the mountain and stuff, is you're not like trying to throw big angle or whatever. You're just going super fast and you're drifting. Like you're like carrying a ton of momentum, like as you like switch back, right? Like it seems,
I guess maybe this is whole like drift bible, like fucking Keiichi Tsuchiya sort of shit, but drifting has come from mountain racing and accidentally drifting. They're like, it's guys trying to go so fast up a mountain that they're then breaking traction and becoming drifters. And I think that's where like you have, I think there's two styles of drifting in Japan, like your circuit and your mountain driving. Mountain driving is a lot shallower, a lot faster, and it's a battle who's the fastest. Whereas you go to Meihan is, or Bihoku or Mikawa maybe, or any circuit one. Nikko, for example, Nikko's got a straight and stuff like that. It's who can get the most speed down that straight and can then initiate the fastest and the earliest into that main corner, for example. So like that two opposite sort of thing is kind of essentially the same, but yeah, like Australia is just like, fuck yeah, we're drifting. Like I'm like smashing. Oh, did I drop out? Like I'm linking all the corners, and it's like you have a little straight and I have to munge it.
Yeah,
is like Australia. I have to be drifting. I have to munge.
That's the US too. I mean, it's just like it's just I don't know. It's a different mindset, I think. Like like
different.
We literally had at Super D, like some spectator was like, "What's this? If I wanted to watch drag racing, I go to the drag strip. Like, what's this? Like, why is everybody drag racing down the front straight? Why aren't they like drifting down the front
munging
straight?"
Yeah,
you're like, because that's way slower. Like you're not.
But then again, like look up all the fucking 2000 like BM drift battle like videos and stuff on YouTube, and Japan was at that point in 2000, like early 2000s. They were like, it's a straight, we can mungie, we will do it. And it's kind of progressed to now being a faster like style of driving, in my opinion, like because of people like Kazama that was so smooth and like and so precise. Like Taniguchi, even though he won a couple of D1 GPs, but he wasn't sort of like a standout driver, but he was so smooth and consistent and fast from grip driving. Naoki, he may throw big entries and like all this sort of backwards crazy shit, but his speeds
are insane.
Is like 5-10 kilometers over everybody else in a competition.
Yeah.
And I mean, his style is that he slows down with angle. He uses that angle to slow him down, but at the same time, it's just like the speed aspect of Japanese drifting, I think, is different to Formula Drift, for example.
Yeah. So you
don't get me wrong, freaking Formula Drift, they honk it in some of the courses. They're starting stupid fast.
They're starting to go a lot faster. Like it seems like James Dean and those guys, and pretty much like anyone like I don't know how to explain it, but it seems like they are like pushing to drive faster and less of the like big, hang the car out and just wash back.
I reckon James Dean brought a new aspect of drifting to Formula Drift.
Yeah.
I think like having him in Formula Drift was like a new sort of like turn for Formula Drift.
I think so.
I reckon if he hadn't have gone to Formula Drift, I think it would probably
still be more
not have come out the way. Yeah,
I agree. It's kind of good. We need that. I don't know. You need
like
you need the person to come to the event and be like, oh, they're entering like 20 miles an hour faster than I do. Yeah, like maybe how do I do that? I feel like
the funny thing is like since Naoki went back to D1 GP, there has been more D1 drivers coming to Mayhan to practice.
Interesting.
Like Kawabata drives Mayhan just as much as Naoki now.
You're kidding.
Utsumi comes back all the time now. Like
whoa.
They're coming back. Like maybe it's coincidence. Maybe they realize that seat time is fuck. I hate that word. seat time. I've got to get my seat time. But like practicing is like key, and they may be really local. I know that Utsumi lives in freaking Kobe, so he could be going to be Hoku, for example. But like since Naoki's come back into D1, they have been practicing heaps more at Mayhem, maybe because of its driving aspect that is a potential edge on everybody else. But
they're like, it must be the track. We will go and we will beat him.
But like honestly though, if you go through like last year's D1 SL, like not D1 SL lights now, if you go through every single round and look out who is like really, really strong at each circuit, majority of the time the Mayhan guys are consistent through all of the circuits. Then when everybody else comes to Mayhan, it's like a flip. It's really, really strange, man. Like I don't know why Mayhan is like so. I don't know. It's definitely one of the hardest courses in Japan, but fuck me, Ebisu Minami's like bad. But
yeah,
if you can drive those two courses really well, you're like a force to stand in for like in for D1 GP, for example.
Yeah, I mean, didn't Miki go sequential? Like things are getting wild over there.
She's gone sequential for like she's had that all season now, all year last year.
Yeah, it's crazy. I saw in car and I was like, what? Like, oh shit, we're getting serious over here.
Like the lights cars now are basically D1 GP cars from 5 years. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like they're going to get to the point where lights cars are at now D1 GP, like all 2J, like 1,000 horsepower, which kind of sucks, but
yes, but like on the small courses, it's kind of like, what's the point? But
they make it happen, but it's crazy.
Yeah.
Have you seen the videos of Naoki driving his 2JS15 at Mayhan?
Yeah, it's insane. It's like
why? Yeah. just stand there and just go, oh, what is animal?
I'd like to see that in person. I'm not gonna lie.
Like, it's different though. It's totally
a different line.
Like, yeah, it's a different line and it's a different approach, which makes it interesting.
Yeah.
But then it comes down to like, what do you really like? Like I really like the 400 horsepower sort of like line in the sand where you still can overgrip the car compared to having 1,000 horsepower where you're fighting for grip.
Yeah.
So
I agree. That seems like the kind of like general consensus in Japan too for most people who are like doing it for fun and or like small competitions. It's like that's the build, like keep it around that. You don't need crazy power and just like focus on driving.
It was interesting because when I first moved here, the high grip tire thing was starting to come in and everybody was starting to run like not big, but sticky tires, like starting to run R1Rs, and Zestino had just come out, and things like the Nankang NS2Rs were just coming out and all that sort of stuff. So people were starting to use that at Mayhan. And then after about probably 18 months to 2 years, everyone went back to like Kenders. Everybody went back to streets because it got to the point where they realized that it just breaks parts, or it's really, really difficult to drive an underpowered car with such high grip.
Yeah.
And then now, since the Velinos have come in, everyone's gone back to high grip.
Yeah.
Like there was probably 2 years of Kansai All-Stars where everybody was on Kenders and like running 1.2 bar a boost. And it was like really, really like, it was strange, dude. And now you go to Kansai All-Stars and it's like, okay, 1.5 bar a boost, sticky, like low tread wear, like grippy tires. So it's like done that sort of like.
That's really interesting. Because we're like just kind of getting into the like we'll go to events and people will be surprised that we're running like a 265 at like, 15 psi or whatever. They're like, really? Like, yeah. Like, how much is it? How much power does your car make? I don't know, like 600 foot-pounds of torque. You're like, why? Why are there 235s on your car? Like, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, I don't know. That's just
21540s.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I don't know. So like, it's like I think people are starting to catch on here. So we might get into have more people running like bigger, stickier tires, but I don't know.
It
definitely
like
makes
my
the car
Ford
harder to drive, but once you learn how to drive with that, you can do cooler shit for sure.
Yes and no. I'm on the fence, dude, because I actually haven't driven on high grip tires yet. I have only ever driven on Kenders. And I went from a 235 on the 180 the whole time to a 265 on the 14, but still just Kenders, same tire, but just different size.
Yeah.
And now that I've got the 15, I'm going to start playing with some high grip tires because I've got the horsepower. But like,
what does that S14 make? Like 300, 350?
350-ish. So like it'd be fine with high grip tires.
Yeah. I mean, at least you're on a 265. And like, do you get the KR20As or do you get
just the 20s?
The KR20s? Yeah, those are pretty. Yeah,
just cheap, man. Like
they last also forever.
Pretty much. Like if I buy a brand new pair, I can get 3 nights of hills out of it.
Yeah.
And like Jesse and I both run the same tires.
Yeah,
like same size, same tires. Key. And like he's probably 50 horsepower up on me on like the 180 compared to my 14, but it is really, really even. So when we go driving, it's really, really fun.
Yeah.
And
that's super important. So that's the whole thing is my team was all running super sticky tires and I was running like Kendas or triangles or whatever. And my car made less power than theirs. So it's like I kind of needed those tires to spin them, but at the same time it was like it just didn't work in certain places.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, well, I'm making more power now. Like I'm going to step up to those tires. And then it makes, I don't know. You just have to find that balance. It's like, does the car make X, then run this? If it makes less than that, you can run high grip tires, but it's like, makes the car really hard to drive. Cause I tried it and it was like, all right, I literally have to throw the car as hard as possible to get it to like initiate.
The commitment, hey, like the commitment is so much. And like I remember probably April last year, like when the 08Rs just came out, the new Velinos, Mickey and Casey were using them at Mayhan and they were clutching towards the wall, like double clutching. And usually it's like a feint, like you can get the rear to slip and then clutch to get along the wall.
So they were clutching on that like right side rumble strip?
Yeah. Clutch. And both of them came in and they were like, these are too grippy, this is too scary because if we don't get the second clutch, you're in the wall.
Yeah.
And so it was like, it's a balance between having too much grip and not enough grip.
Yeah.
Like I really should put some decent tires on the back of the 14 and go to Mayhan because the KR20 is crap for Mayhan. Like honestly, they're crap.
Well, I think Mayhan's pretty slick, right? Like it's not super
dude, it's
grippy.
all different surfaces. All different surfaces.
Yeah.
So there's grip in some places and there's no grip in places. Like it's fucking unreal. That's what makes it fucking good to drive because you never know what you're gonna get. Like get water and it freaking throws another freaking spanner in the works.
That'll teach you some throttle control for sure.
cringe every time rain like is mentioned when I'm at Mayhem.
I've never seen Julian sweat about anything until it started raining at Mahon. He's like, "It's raining." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "All right, okay." I was like, "I don't know why I'm enjoying this, but I'm enjoying this." Like,
no, I know a lot of people that pack up as soon as it starts raining. I know a lot of people that just pack up and fuck off.
And I rode with him. It's like there's certain spots are icy, and then you still have grip. And some spots, it's like crazy.
Hit the like ripple spit, like the real deep against the second wall where it's all like corrugated, I guess. And it's concrete, so it's slippery as fuck.
Yeah.
But that's the line you have to drive to be a boss. So tires, I don't know. It's another thing. Like old mate Hero, fucking, he always drives on Kenders.
I think,
and he throws down hard in Kenders.
Yeah,
and it's just
keep
like
up with anybody on those, I guess. So it's like whatever you know what I mean. Like whatever works.
But I will admit though, like we went to Hills once, and a certain someone came with us. And it was like, he's here now. Challenge is on, like game on. And Hero was like, Kenders off, tires on.
Yes.
Not showing me up at my mountain.
Oh, man. I love how that's like still going. Oh, man, that's so cool.
There's so much rivalry, dude. It's like.
Yeah, I've heard about some rivalry, like even between like certain, known drivers and. Yeah, it's like it's pretty cool.
It's good though because they then push each other. But the coolest thing about it though, man, is like they will drive each other to the point where they will crash. But then at the end of it, they'll turn around and say, "So what's different about your car? Like my car doesn't do that. Why does your car do that?"
Yeah.
Like there's no shame or no sort of like ego, I guess.
It's like, he crashed, he sucks, I'm way better kind of thing. It's like
no. Not really that. Like they push each other to push the envelope and see who's best.
Right.
And then at the end of it, they're like, well,
they'll both learn from each other.
It's not because I crashed. It's like your setup is different to my setup. How? Why? What are you running that's different? Why could you do this differently to me? And it's the same at Mayhan. Like you go to Mayhan and if you throw down really hard in one section, but you suck at another section, someone will come up and be like, yeah, your caster's out. Or like, you're running like a different final ratio, so that's why you can't carry speed through this section. And it's just like, you go to Australia and you go to like a Matsuri or a practice day, no one will ever like give you advice. Or if you go up to someone, they'll just be like, oh, well, I'm running this. And it's just like, there's no like helping become a better driver or helping become more fluent. You know what I mean? Like there's no progression.
I think it goes both ways where people aren't really, they don't want to ask also. They don't want
to look like they know nothing.
Yeah. There's like a lot of I don't know if it's like pride or whatever. Actually, at Super D, I was like flagging for a second, and one of the dudes, some guy like just bought a car, and he was like, he drifts, I guess. I don't know. He's been drifting, but he just bought a new car, and he was like asking me about the line through like one section, and I kind of like gave him some advice or whatever, and then he went out and did it. I was like, yo, that's tight. Like that never happens. Usually people are like, people will ask about car setup before they'll ask about line.
That's where I love the grip driving thing, dude. Like, and that's why I want to get a grip car. I really want to get a grip car purely because it will teach like really, really good lines. And it's the same, like this sounds really fucking stupid, but I want to get an RC drift car.
I've been thinking about that myself.
Purely because you can like go and drive with like, say, like Takumi and Ryota have them, and they go purely to practice tandeming.
Get out of here.
So like by watching the RC car in front, they are mentally like training themselves when to transition. And by learning to read another RC car, they then, when they jump in a real car, they go and drive. They've got that sort of like mental imagery of like when to transition and things like that.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. Yota's
my
always
mind was like,
Yota's always playing Aceto too. Like he plays with everybody. And he's good, you know. But yeah, I thought about I have like an old RC car from when I was like a kid.
I wanted to like.
It's like
I went with them one night.
Yeah.
Dude, they're so expensive.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I wonder if I can like mod my. It's like a team associated TC3 from like 1998. I was like, oh, I still have the radio. I have like all like little stuff, and I'm like, I wonder if I could turn this into an RC drift platform. And I was like, you know, looking into it. And some people have, but it's like, dude, they're so beyond that now. Like all these like perfectly balanced chassis with like everything like centered and like,
dude, they
all carbon.
They pretty much like what Ryota and Takumi said to me is like, you can set an RC car up almost identical to a drift car through alignments and like Ackermans and stuff like that. So it's just like, but that's like spending 200,000 or 300,000 yen. And it's like, if I'm going to spend 200,000 300,000 yen, that can be like, my S14 could be cleaned up and looking badass. Like,
yeah. I think about that too. I'm like, should I do an RC drift? I'm like, I just want to drive my car more.
Yeah, right. But like, I don't know, in terms of difference between drifting in Australia and Japan or like overseas, is definitely speed and line, mainly out of corners.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like shallow out of corners, but big angle into corners. Whereas if you watch like, I don't know, a video of someone smashing it up, I don't know, Lone Star Drift or something, it's like really shallow into the corner and then getting onto the gas and then getting huge angle out.
Yeah.
And then being like, oh, fuck, another corner.
Yeah. Just like riding big angle back to back. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely like, I don't know, most of the guys I drive with kind of do the like shallow high speed to big angle, like on the right corners, you know, like not all of them are big, like not all of them are big angle into like, you know, mainly like the decreasing radius or the like sharp 90s or like, you know, hairpins. That's when you like throw the big angle to slow down. And then when you try and drive with somebody who does the like very sweepy drifts, it's like pretty hard to change that up.
It's so hard to chase.
Yeah,
so hard to chase because they're going from one side of the circuit back to the other side of the circuit, and if you get up on them and they're going to go back across, you've got to fucking fall back and then try and chase up again.
Yeah, and so like
it's hard.
And so like that's why I started messing with like left foot braking, because like that's what you have to do to chase that. Yeah. Oh, I know. It's like, but you know, you can't just assume that everybody you're gonna chase here is gonna.
There's a time and a place. There's a time and a place.
It's just another tool in the toolbox, man.
I've never done it. I'll admit to it. Like I've never left-footed brake purely because I don't drive anywhere that needs it.
I had never done it until like 2 events ago.
I mean, like if you look at sort of like, I mean, Formula Drift is a bad example, but you look at the courses which they drive where they are big speed, like sweeping corners, getting onto the left foot brake does keep you in the right spot. So you do get the right qualifying mark. So it makes sense, but
it's kind of lame.
I don't know.
Yeah. I agree.
Whatever. I'd rather see like a Formula Drift around like at a fucking T intersection of like a freaking 4-lane highway or something. Like
that'd be pretty sick.
I mean, the Texas round was pretty cool where they had like the course that kind of like backed up on itself. Like, you know how it came through sort of like a big, long, sweeping left-hander into a U-turn.
Yeah.
And then they had like a bit of a sort of dog-leggy thing into another U-turn.
Yeah.
That course was cool because the last U-turn you got to brake. As with both U-turns you got to brake. Yeah. Whereas all the other ones don't really have.
It was interesting watching people chase in there. You could like tell who like can, I don't know. And like some of the lead lines, they'd like get all like heavy e-brake in and then like kind of like float it, you know, versus the people that will like snap in and go. You're like, oh, you can like kind of see who knows how to drive that style. But I don't know.
I think like 2 years ago there was like people on Facebook and stuff being like, "Oh, this is a throw up, like something different normally, like compared to having to just put your foot flat down."
Yeah. I don't know. It is weird that like professional drifting is so different from the stuff that, you know, my friends and people who like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I'm almost like okay with it being the like, you know, counterculture or the purist or whatever you want to call it. Like having
Yeah, I mean it's just a different ball game.
Yeah.
Compared to like what we do. And I mean, like, even if what we do, you compared to like the show and shine drift kind of guys, like there's guys that are running like, you know, 10J front wheels with 2 on 540 tires and, you know, like this high off the ground. Like that's drifting for them, and that's cool because that's what they want to do. But we look at it and go, fucking, you're going 2 kilometers per hour and can't get full lock. Like, fucked up. But they like it, so they're having fun. Formula drift guys like spending $15,000 a lap, and I don't know.
Like, if you're not changing your tires every run, are you even drifting?
Is this even drift?
Where's the smoke? Where's the smoke?
Man, like I still remember that when I first got into drifting, there was a video of Taniguchi and Kazama. I'll try and send it to you later because it's fucking cool. It's called like High Speed Drift or something, and it's an S14, an S15, and maybe an RX-7 at Nikko, and it is just like high speed drifting, and there's like zero tire smoke, but they are just like driving insane. And I was just, when I first saw that, I was like, this is drifting, like this is cool. And it's all like super shallow angle stuff, but it's, I don't know, for me that was more impressive to see like speed and angle
I think
compared to just bake and tires.
I was never really drawn to the like, you know, big smoke show stuff. I was like drawn to watching cars like fly with a bunch of momentum and like, you know, yeah. But I don't know. I think that's starting to be more accepted and appreciated.
I think it's just becoming more clear to people that like there is different types of drifting within drifting.
Yeah.
So I think America's probably the fastest to catch on to it. Like you've got the Formula Drift guys, you've got, you know, a certain aspect of it is this final bout guys that are sort of more dressy styled cars, like that don't want to go out and hit walls and hit each other. And then you've got, you know, the Super D events and stuff that have started popping up, and the smaller grassroots events that are popping up where people are just there to drive, like, you know, and that's where I like LZ, I like Denofa and stuff like that, because they go to those events and they just fucking drive.
Yeah. Yeah, gotta give them credit there. I do appreciate that. And like for the most part, it seems like, yeah. I hope it just continues to like, I have a feeling that the like, you know, subsects of drifting will like continue to grow, and then we'll just have options and it'll be cool, you know.
I agree. I reckon like there will be a time where it's like, you know, there always has been the generic grassroots drifting and whatnot, but I think it'll probably be more sort of a short course, maybe. I don't know, short course, long course. I don't know. Formula D and everything else.
Who knows, man?
But,
who knows?
No, hey, like, Formula D is impressive. Don't get me wrong. It's fucking impressive. I watch it every now and then just to keep on sort of like seeing sort of aspects of it. There is some events that are actually pretty good to watch, and some of them are just like fucking But, you know, well, like something that really interests me is like now that we have the whole YouTube sort of aspect of drifting, like what influence is that making to sort of like 16, 17, 18-year-old kids? Like,
Yeah.
is the goal to be a Formula drifter, like Formula D drifter, or is the goal like, you know,
To be the best driver you can.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. Like
put out sweet tent, like camping.
Rolling up in my supercar in my freaking $3 million house and then pulling out my 350Z with a 2J.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, haters gonna hate. I don't know. Like, yeah.
There's options. There's kids there's 16-year-olds that think, like, Naoki's sick, you know? Because they find...
But do you know what's mind-blowing? There's people that don't even know who he is.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's the same. Like, you talk to some of the Japanese guys and you sort of say to them, like, oh, do you know who, like, Chelsea Denofa is? And they were just like, who?
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty amazing. Like, and actually something that I've been watching a lot lately is like all the sort of Irish stuff and the British drift series and stuff. Like, the European stuff, like there's some pretty freaking gnarly drivers over there, mainly because of like James Dean. Like I've sort of kept an eye on it, but like there's some pretty wild shit over there, and that's a totally different world of drifting over there.
There's some wild Russian drivers. There's like just
it's all sort of pretty product of your environment, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, like, you know, the V8 drifting obviously came from places like America because there's engines available.
Yeah, we can go to any junkyard and pull a LQ9 or whatever it's called. I don't know.
308.
Yeah.
But
there was like a time where everyone was putting, you know, Fox body Mustang engines in S chassis and they drove.
Yeah, right. And now it's like how many Corvettes are kicking around that are getting drifted?
It's
now?
insane.
Like there's heaps. And
there's like 5 at every event now.
I mean, like it's fucking gay as shit, but it's also kind of interesting that, like, you know, like
I drove one. It was a thing. I don't know. There's just something about no offense if you got a LS, but like it just doesn't do it for me.
It's just so lazy, isn't it? You can noticeably see the difference in driving style.
There's no revs.
Yeah.
There's no revs. Like there's no like throttle control. It's an on-off switch. You know what I mean? There is no like keep it at this RPM or like if you want to be up in the boost or, you know, like there's no clutch work. There's no, I don't know. I feel like it just takes so many elements away. And like, I feel like my strongest suit is my like throttle control and pedals and, you know, I don't know.
4%. Yeah, I don't, but then again, if you go like, who was it? Like, I think you spoke about it with Mez. Is like you can go to a circuit and there's like a bunch of shit boxes with V8s or like, you know, VQs, like standard VQs, and they sound like shit and they drive like shit, but they're there every week.
Yeah, they're keeping drifting alive, and they're getting good.
They're keeping the track open. Yeah. They're getting good.
Yeah,
and it's like
they may not.
It might not be what we agree on, but it's kind of like
they may not drive that car forever. You know, like maybe they do want XYZ. They just can't afford it yet. You know, especially for these younger kids. Like, you know, there's kids that show up that are like 18 or whatever with like a clapped out, you know, E36 or whatever. Like, you don't know what they're going to drive in 5 years. Like, I know I've shown up to my first event. I was in a S13 with like Steelies and like, it wasn't a cool car at the time. Like, I was on lowering springs and it was KA and Walton diff and didn't even have knuckles on it. Like, it was not nice by any means, you know, like you never know.
I'd love to see a drift series where everybody has like the same car.
I would too.
Even if it was like everybody has a 350Z with coilovers, diff, and like a knuckle modification,
Yeah.
like I don't know, like an angle
I would
modification,
love to see that too.
all on the same wheel, like size and tire size.
That would
I
be
think
sick.
that would be really, really cool.
I'm all right, dude, set it up. I'll, I'm in.
It's
Dude,
well, I mean, like fuck you. Come to Mayhan and you've got fucking 50 freaking S15s with TD06s on them.
Yeah.
All running 265s, and the only difference is probably like, you know, knuckle and alignment. So
Yeah, it's pretty easy to see who's driving the best of the day. It's not the car. I don't know. We'll see. I think the 350Z like cup would be pretty sick. It's like, dude, it'll get us all back to our like Gran Turismo roots, you know? Like you can only have this and you can only have these modifications. Like, and of course
I just think it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
In regards to like, you know,
someone
like,
hiding NOS in their seat and shit, like fucking Toretto. All the shit.
Cut the crap.
I think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'd like
the grip guys do it, man. Why doesn't
dude, they have a crown
one make cups.
They have a one make cup for
Civics,
Crown Vics, the police interceptors.
I did not know that. That's
one of the dudes from Realize. He started doing it, and it's like it'll be like 10 police interceptors all on track at the same time, and they'll like race. Like how cool is that?
Oh, it's
every car has like 300,000 miles on it or something. Going out and like racing them, and they do it at like Willow. You know, I don't know. I'd be into that. I kind of think like it's like, where do you go from there though? You know, it's like I feel like everyone here wants, you know, if they're doing a lot of comps, they want to like go pro. But I feel like I just want to see.
I would actually like to see like a group interview of Formula Drift drivers, like at the end of the season, saying like, okay, next season, what are you going to do? Like, not in regards to like, are you going to like,
I'm going to win.
How do you put it? No, not about like winning, but like, okay, so A, are you going to do it again? B, why are you going to do it again?
Yeah.
Like, what is the drive for those guys?
Carbon fiber trophies, brother.
I mean, like, it's easy for me to say that, like, you know, like, because I have a day job. My dream would be, you know, either to be paid to go drifting or fucking Asia Carrera Cup. But like, you know, like the guys that are doing it, it's kind of like, well, what are they now pushing towards?
Right.
And it'd be kind of interesting just to see what, like, I mean, even just fucking LZ, like, you know, he's progressed up to Pro 1. His channel is like fucking insanely massive. What is next? Like, is he going to go down different ventures, or is he going to just keep cruising as it is? Or I don't know. It's kind of interesting to me.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to see that actually. I just realized I pulled this out of my wallet today. Can you see what that is?
Dude, I have 2 in my wallet.
All right, we lost them again. It's a Mahon ticket to get into the track. That's what I was holding up. Man, I feel like we need to do another one of these. Do a part 2 in a few months or something. Yeah. Thanks for